sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We're going to give you a reason why San Diego FC and their fans should actually feel good about the 1-1 draw with Minnesota. Yeah, they did fall behind early in just 3 minutes into the match. And yes, they struggled in the first half, but the championship caliber teams that we've seen in soccer find ways to earn points even when they're not playing at their best. That's exactly what San Diego FC did. Mikey Voris made 3 substitutions in the second half. Alex Mighton immediately won a penalty. Anders Dreyer buried it, and CJ Dos Santos came up with a huge saves to preserve the draw. This wasn't about flashy soccer. It was about resilience. Earlier this season, San Diego won by overwhelming teams offensively. Now they're proving they can grind out difficult road results. That's a huge sign of growth. If San Diego can start games with the same intensity they finished them, this team has every reason to believe it can make a serious playoff run. Is San Diego FC becoming one of the most complete teams in Major League Soccer? Well, we'll discuss that here in a second. But, Frank, this is a team that wasn't able to finish. Now they're not really able to start, but they finished really strong. At least they're in a position now where they get points in the standings instead of a late dramatic loss.
They nearly stole that game, too, as Márquez and Vartson hit 2 crossbars late in that game, including one with like maybe a minute to go in stoppage time in the second half. So it's been an interesting change from San Diego FC. It's not quite the team that we saw before the World Cup break, and they're still not quite the team they were at last year or even at the beginning of this year, but they're starting to put pieces together. They put a lot of focus on the second half of matches. It bit them in the opening match coming out of the World Cup break, but these last 2 have been very, very positive signs for San Diego FC moving forward.
Yeah, just in terms of the details, I mean, Minnesota struck just 3 minutes into the game, and I got the notification on my phone. It was during the Padre game too, so I was like, oh, maybe the Padres did something but then I realized I was at the game, and so it couldn't possibly happen before. So I was a little upset at the fact that I looked down, because that's the deal when I'm watching the Apple Sports app is so fast that you get the buzz. You're like, what happened? And you're like, something amazing is about to happen. I'm sitting there going like, I get the buzz in my pocket. I'm like, something amazing. Wait a minute. I'm at the game.
I'm here.
It's not a prediction, right? So I looked and it was, oh, wow, Minnesota's already have 1-0 on San Diego FC. What the hell is going on? Anyway, but they adjusted. They made some changes. They had a good clean sheet in the second half. And, the player spotlight has to be CJ Dos Santos. While Dreyer will receive plenty of attention for converting the penalty, Dos Santos quietly turned in one of his best performances of the season. First half saves prevented Minnesota from putting the game out of reach before San Diego can settle into the match. And then, second half, he really shined for San Diego FC. He's a big reason why this team won.
Yeah, it's so nice to have your starting goalkeeper back, which is something that this team has missed all year long leading up to the World Cup break. So to have CJ Dos Santos back and to have him have as big a performance as he had, also made a couple big saves late as well, that is a huge, huge point of emphasis for San Diego FC, because without, sure, again, you could have had the Dreyer penalty, but without CJ Dos Santos, you're in a position to where that Dreyer penalty may not have mattered.
So what's up ahead now for San Diego FC? Well, they shift its focus toward the opening phase of Leagues Cup, where every match becomes an opportunity to build momentum before returning to MLS play. The club has shown all season it can control possession and create scoring chances, but the next step is finishing those opportunities earlier in matches instead of relying on second-half rallies. And this is a team, by the way, that hasn't had too many second-half rallies. They've had more second-half failures than anything else. So they're still putting together a good 80 minutes, Frank. It's really the 10 minutes to make it 90 that it's been a little bit of a problem. So as they now transition into Leagues Cup, it's a good break in terms of take your eyes off the standings of the MLS. This is a kind of, I view as a good opportunity to get back on track in games that aren't going to affect how you are in the table for the MLS.
Yeah, you're not going to be playing another MLS match until you see LAFC on September 15th. However, There are 3 matches in between that. Coming up on Thursday, you're going to have Club America in the Leagues Cup. Then after that, it's Tijuana on Sunday, August 9th. And then it's Puebla on Wednesday the 12th. So you're going to be seeing San Diego FC playing here. All of those games are going to be on Apple TV, except for the Puebla game. That will be on Apple TV, but it will also be on FS1. That'll be next Wednesday. So Club America this Thursday, and then Tijuana on Sunday for this week coming.
Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios, we know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, Static Arizona Sports Station 97.3. The Fan. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties on the YouTube stream, but broadcasting loud and clear on the radio, so apologize for the YouTube stream issues. Frank was fixing that during the entire first segment, so that's why things were a little bit out of whack. Now everybody's been dealing with like the buffering too at the same point. So let's before we move on to the Padres, because we might have to restart the stream too. We'll see how that goes if it continues to buffer and do everything that it was doing. Coming up on Sunday. Which is this Sunday, I think. Is this Sunday, August 9th? Yeah, it is. This Sunday at noon Pacific on ESPN Plus, Sweetwater Valley Little League won the Southern California bracket, which means they are representing Southern California in the West Regional. This used to be way bigger of a regional, and then they were getting irritated with Southern California and Hawaii winning every year, and all the other entities that could never win. So now the West Regional only has 4 areas represented. It's Northern and Southern California, Arizona, and Hawaii. Sweetwater Valley Little League will be playing Northern California on Sunday. They are about 3 wins away from winning the West region and going to Williamsport. Now, here's what I don't understand. Like, when you have it's a double elimination bracket for Little League. Like, and I'm going to get to Sweetwater Valley here in a second. It's a double elimination bracket, but like if you go to the losers bracket, Frank, you don't have to beat the winners bracket team twice. I hate those. It's so dumb. If you lose the first game and you have to battle your way back, you should have to beat the team that won their first 2 games twice, not just once to move on. So I think that's kind of a tough spot there in the West region. I know they're trying to get everything set before they go out, and I know they want to put the championship game on ESPN and everything like that. But, I mean, why get to this point and then give up like the integrity of the bracket on the final day? Hopefully it doesn't get to that point. I will say this. Sweetwater Valley's got Alejandro Kirk's nephew on the team, Frank. He throws the ball at about 75 to 76 miles an hour, which at 46 feet is going to look like almost 100. No surprise that Sweetwater Valley has made it this far when they got a kid pumping 75 miles an hour. Like that's like watching 100 coming at you as a kid, like in terms of how close it is. I like Sweetwater Valley's chances of going to the Little League World Series. We'll see what they do against Northern California on Sunday. If they win that, they will play the winner of Arizona and Hawaii next Tuesday. They should have the West Regional Championship will be Friday, August 14th. Winner of that will go on to the Little League World Series. So Sweetwater Valley's right there, ready to go, and they are 1 bracket away from going to Williamsport, which would be super cool seeing them represent us in the Little League World Series. So let's talk about last night's game. I thought the offense did extremely well. We talked about the pitching a little bit for those on YouTube that might have missed my first segment. A lot of it had to do, with the pitching staff. I spent most of my time talking about pitching, but the offense last night. I saw people in the YouTube chat talk about how it's like, oh man, Brandon Pfaadt did really well, and now we got to deal with Eduardo Rodriguez. He's so good. Well, you know what? Padres put up 3 runs on him in the first and 3 more in the second. I mean, they jumped on him early. You had Tatis double on 2-0. You had Machado double on a 3-0 pitch. You had Merrill battle through 10 pitches and then get an RBI hit. I mean, and Craig Stammen mentioned the postgame, thought the dugout energy felt different, felt noticeably different in recent games. The offense yesterday really did a great job.
Yeah, they did. 16 hits. Great night for sure. I'm not surprised at all how well this offense was able to rebound, because again, we've seen it now more recently than what we saw at the beginning of the season. 16 hits last night, 3 from Manny, 3 from Jackson Merrill. I mean, those are huge numbers for those guys, and they did a fantastic job.
I thought they did, and then they added on later too.
Yes,
they continued to add on, and then when Germán Márquez had a bad outing, they got another run back, and they probably could have got some more runs back. But they continue to add on against the Diamondbacks team they're competing with for an NCAA tournament, for a playoff spot, right? For a wild card spot. So they're a game back now. I mean, they dug themselves in a little bit of a hole just because they lost the first game. But if they win the next 2 games, they leave there in a position of in sole possession of a wild card spot, and you had hope like the Nationals can help you out. I mean, the Phillies have kind of turned it on a little bit, so we'll see if the Padres can make up ground on Philadelphia as well. Pitching standpoint, we talked about Casey Mize and Robbie Ray joining this rotation with Michael King, and then Walker Buehler still a part of it. But Randy Vásquez, in his last couple of outings, has looked a lot more like what we saw at the beginning of the year. I mean, last night was a great performance by Randy Vásquez. And Randy, I mean, he had done something that not a lot of San Diego Padres pitchers have done. Like, Vásquez delivered 6 scoreless innings, something no Padres starter besides Michael King has done in over 2 months. And he looked like he was actually confident and attacking last night. And the Padres, with whatever you say about like what happened with Nick Pivetta yesterday, we're going to talk about that later, and Joe Musgrove, if you could add Randy Vásquez this rotation, doing exactly what he did last night. Now, obviously, like asking him to do that every night is kind of ridiculous, but he looked good. And if he looks somewhat like that, or somewhat like what he did at the beginning of the season, his rotation looks a lot better than it did, just a week ago.
Yeah. Absolutely. And again, that's June 3rd. June 3rd was the last time a Padres starting pitcher who was not named Michael King went through the 6th inning. That is huge. A night off for the bullpen. And then you get Germán Márquez giving up the 4 runs. Griffin Canning shut down in the 9th inning. A very, very good night. Almost like a back to normal night for the pitching staff and for Randy Vásquez, who threw 80 pitches last night. With 56 strikes. So he was on it last night. He had his best stuff.
Yeah, I thought he was awesome. I really did. I just that I think that it could be, if you could get him back to what he was at the beginning of the season or close to it. You're looking at a rotation with King and Buehler and Ray and Mize and Vásquez. I mean, it's good. It's awesome. It's great to see that part of the rotation. It really is. Now, overall, it's a good win yesterday for the Padres, and with that, they are now again back to where they were before they started this series. A game out of a wild card spot. They're chasing the Phillies by 2 now because the Phillies had won the last 2 games, but they're right there in the thick of things. And tonight's the night that you get to see Casey Mize pitch. And I'm excited to see him pitch. And like, they had some sound from Casey Mize on our Twitter page about his excitement to be here in San Diego. I think a lot of guys like coming to San Diego, but he hasn't pitched in a little bit. He was supposed to pitch over the weekend. They decided against it just in case he got traded. They were going to have him pitch Tuesday if he did not get traded. And it's funny, like, he didn't think he was going to get traded, and then all of a sudden it was like at the final second he finds out that he's getting shipped off to San Diego, and it just changes everything. I mean, he was getting ready to start against Seattle on a Tuesday night, and now he's a member of the San Diego Padres. It's always weird, like the first time these guys go out, especially the pitchers, and make a new start for their team. So hopefully it's a decent outing for him. But he hasn't pitched over a week. Maybe it's rest that he needs. But hopefully he's not too rusty tonight. But I don't think he will be.
No, and he was also talking about contract status and that Detroit never offered him a contract extension before trading him. Like they weren't in negotiations for that, which is also interesting. Because did you see who happened to sign a 2-year contract extension yesterday?
No, I didn't.
Mickey Moniak.
I did actually. I did see that on like deadline day. I saw the report that they were talking to him about doing an extension.
Yeah,
so it explains why they didn't trade him.
100%. So he signed a 2-year extension. So I have a feeling that if they weren't able to make an agreement with Moniak, he probably would have gotten traded. But it's also, that was an interesting note with Mize and an interesting question that they were not in negotiation talks for an extension with him before he ended up getting moved.
The other interesting point, and I saw this today in Kevin Acey's daily newsletter, is the reason why they're going with Mize today and Robbie Ray on Friday. Look, they said in the newsletter about how they don't really want Walker Buehler pitching. Here's what it says. Like, the Padres would like to give 32-year-old Walker Buehler more than 4 days between starts, but they believe he is the best option to face the Diamondbacks on Thursday, largely because Arizona has the highest batting average and second highest OPS in the major leagues against left-handed pitchers. So lefty Robbie Ray will make his Padres debut Friday at Petco Park against the Astros as Casey Mize pitches tonight. Let's not even, that's besides the point that the last time that Robbie Ray faced this Arizona Diamondback team, he got shelled, which goes along the lines of why this Diamondbacks team, it fits in with what they've done so well against lefties. So I'm okay with that. So Robbie Ray is going to make 2 consecutive starts at Petco Park.
There you go. For
him. One's going to be in one dugout. One's going to be in both dugouts, too. So I wonder if his kid's going to be there giving him a pep talk down by the dugout wearing Padres stuff this time. He shows up at Giant stuff. We got a problem.
It'd be really funny. This is the kind of humor that I have. If he didn't get that pep talk until like the second inning because the kid was over on the other side, it's like, oh, sorry, not used to this. I had to go around.
I had to go the other side.
And you were already out there, so here you go.
Hopefully the ushers know which one Robbie Ray's kid is. Starts running down there to talk to Dad. Anyway, we're going to talk more about this Pivetta situation from yesterday. I just, the report that came out after the fact was so odd to me. And we'll talk about it at 11 o'clock. But we have, the other thing we have is we have a lot of the numbers that they had from their rehab assignments from Joe Musgrove and Nick Pivetta. Joe Musgrove looked a lot better metric-wise than Nick Pivetta did. But hopefully they both feel good today. That was the biggest takeaway from this outing, regardless of what happened, was how they feel today. Hopefully we get an update from Craig Stammen in the dugout later on. But I think a lot of it was very much a scare there in Lake Elsinore. But then he went out and threw 30 pitches in the bullpen, 20 to 30 pitches, in the batting cage that you couldn't see. So I thought that was a little interesting. I think that just makes this story even stranger to me.
Yeah, no, it does, because it's one of those things when you have a guy who's on the IL for an elbow issue, and he feels something in his elbow. Everything that you've ever seen in baseball says that guy gets shut down, like he's done. You see how he is today. Probably goes and has imaging today. They're not far from here. So, and then proceed after that. But for him to throw 30 pitches, which would have been about what his workload would have been, plus the 14 that he threw in the first inning, I mean, that made it even more confusing, honestly.
Xander Bogaerts, we got an update on him as well. The good news is last night, x-rays on his left foot were negative after fouling a ball off of it. He stayed in long enough to finish a productive night, but even more encouraging for Xander Bogaerts, because we've talked about how Jackson Merrill's heated up. We've talked about how Fernando's heated up. We've talked about how Manny's heated up. And the one out of the top 4 that hadn't really done anything was Xander Bogaerts. But in his last 9 games, do you want to know what Xander Bogaerts is hitting in the last 9 games?
345.
He's in 300 with a 371 on-base percentage. I mean, throughout much of the season, Bogaerts has been incredibly unlucky on balls in play, according to the report from Kevin Acee. His career batting average on balls in play, 329. This season entering Tuesday, 249. His last 9 games is 360. So the Padres hope positive regression is finally arriving for Xander Bogaerts, which is great news for an offense that is already starting to heat up and starting to be in a better spot. Is it good enough, though, for them to make the run that they're expecting? Well, Eduardo Perez said something interesting yesterday on SportsCenter and then doubled down on MLB Network about the San Diego Padres. We're going to talk about it when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's number 1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 10:38 on a Wednesday. Got the Marine Layer rolled in again here. That's great. Make it nice and cool in the morning. Cool for maybe some football practice out there. For all of our camps. Camp has started for San Diego State today. We're going to give you an update in noon. We got an NFL training camp update at 1. I watched Hard Knocks last night. The Eagles are the Eagles. The Seahawks kind of a dorky team, but it's kind of a fun team to watch. I really enjoy. I mean, I enjoyed the first episode of Hard Knocks. It's just, football is right here, and tomorrow we got the Hall of Fame game. I will put it on. Will I be like locked into the game itself? No, but it'll be good to have football on in the background of my television in my room as I work on football. Football. I know a lot of people might not like football because they don't have a team here anymore, but you know what? I still like football. And in the fall, we talk a lot of football on this show, especially when there's nothing Padres related to talk about. But while we're talking about the Padres, it's mostly Padres related. But we do want to keep you updated on what's going on at San Diego State, what's going on in the NFL. We're going to get into college football, as we get closer. First weekend of college football, August 29th, week 0.
Coach's poll came out today, too?
Coach's poll came out yesterday. TCU receiving votes. That's all I care about. Was San Diego State on there? The first day is usually like the coaches' polls always got like 1,000 teams on there. But I think, what is it? If I look at the USA Today coaches poll, let's see. Let's see what we got here. Ohio State picked number 1. Oregon, Georgia, Texas, Notre Dame, Indiana, Miami, A&M, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, top 10. Anybody? It's surprising? No. I mean, the first poll is always like so funny. Alabama, Texas Tech. Who's playing quarterback for Texas Tech? LSU, USC, BYU, Michigan, Penn State, Tennessee. Penn State and Tennessee are the most identical programs of all time.
I don't see how Penn State is even ranked. With how many players they lost and recruits they lost, I don't see how they're even ranked.
Here's what I'm going to say about Penn State. I texted one of my friends about Penn State because, so I have a buddy that's super into Penn State. All right, his dad went to Penn State. His dad. His dad. He didn't go to Penn State. His dad didn't go to Penn State. His sister went to Penn State, but his dad is from Pennsylvania, grew up being a Penn State fan. Sure, fine. But that counts on our rules of being a fan that we have written down somewhere and sealed and everything like that. But he has now converted my roommate to being a Penn State fan for no reason at all, to a point where he's like, they're like both diehard Penn State people, and they're so blinded by everything else around Penn State. And the thing is, I look at Penn State, and this is my question about Penn State. And this is not a college football segment. We're going to get into what Eduardo Perez said about the Padres here in a second. But here's my thing on Penn State this year, okay? They are fool's gold. I think Penn State football is fool's gold.
They're going to take a major step back.
No. Their record's going to be fine. I'm going to tell you in a second. But I'm just the guy asking questions. You love when I'm just the guy asking questions, okay? I'm just the guy asking questions. How did Coach Campbell at Iowa State go from kind of being on the hot seat at Iowa State because he had had a good start to the to his tenure there. He had made Iowa State competitive in the Big 12, something that they were like at least when I was in college seemed like it was a check off a W every time he played Iowa State. I mean, when did Matt Campbell go from they were good, and then all of a sudden they've been kind of mediocre the last couple of years. I mean, they've been okay. I mean, they got into the Big 12 championship game, which was great. Iowa State had that big bowl win, but then they fell back down to earth, and he was slowly starting to get on the hot seat of all right, man, you've been here a long time. We haven't really made that next step. And Matt Campbell went from being like almost on the hot seat at Iowa State to then he's going to take Penn State to the promised land? Like, really? That's it? Okay. Oh, by the way, Frank, was Matt Campbell, let me ask you this, was Matt Campbell like their number one choice to be a head coach, if we remember correctly?
There was a 1 in the number.
Like, was Matt Campbell their second choice?
No.
Was he their third choice?
No.
No. Was he their fourth choice?
I think there was probably a 4 in the number.
I mean, you go down the list, man. He was not even like close.
I think he was like barely like their 14th choice, I think.
And I thought, I thought for what Iowa State was, he did a fair job at Iowa State. He finished 72-55 at Iowa State. In conference play, he finished 10 games above 500, right? But he was like 9th place, tied for 4th, tied for 3rd, tied for 3rd. First place, won the league, went to the Fiesta Bowl, got a victory. It's great. Like 2020, a 2020 season. And then they went like 7-6, 4-8, 7-6. They had that 11-3 year where they won the Pop-Tart Bowl. Yeah, that's kind of cool. And then last year again finished tied for 7th, 8-4 in the conference. He had 2 really good seasons. Outside of that, it's been mediocre. And what I hear from Big Ten people all the time is like, the Big 12, that's not even like real big boy football. So you took a guy that couldn't even win real big boy football. He's going to Penn State, and all of a sudden that's going to be the drastic change this team needs?
Yep.
It's fool's gold. And here's what I mean by that. They're going to play in the We Are Bowl, which is Marshall. We Are Marshall versus We Are Penn State. That's going to be the first game. That's a dub. They go to Temple. I don't know. They're playing Temple on the road, which means they get to play at the Link.
That's a rivalry game, too.
Oh, give me a break.
No, it is. It is a historic rivalry game.
Yeah, so is every city, every school in Philadelphia when they play each other. That's a win. They're going to play Buffalo. It's a win. Their Big Ten schedule sucks. It's Wisconsin, Northwestern. They get USC at home. Who knows what Michigan's going to be like this year? Purdue, UW, Minnesota, Rutgers, and Maryland. I'm telling you, this is a team that's going to be near the top 10 by midseason. They're going to drop a game at UW, and people are going to be like, what happened? Or USC is going to go in there and just punch them in the mouth for no reason.
USC is going to walk the dog on them.
And people are going to be like, what happened? What happened to Penn State? So, yeah, when you go through the rankings on the diatribe I just went on, like at Penn State being like 17 in the country, I consider them fool's gold.
What happened to Penn State? I don't know. Look at Virginia Tech, maybe. That could be a good
exactly.
reason.
I mean, if you look, Penn State's roster is like all of Iowa State. They took like half the roster from Iowa State. It's like Iowa State over at Penn State. They're the Penn State Cyclones over there, who finished 7th in the Big 12, but they're going to be good enough to win the Big 10?
Yep,
that's how it works.
You know why?
It's the same thing as the Dodgers when they trade away prospects, right? They're like, top-ranked prospects. They immediately drop out of the top 100 as soon as they get to the new team. Just like recruiting rankings. Hey, it's a 5-star kid. He committed to he committed to Oklahoma State. Lose a star. He's a 4-star kid now. He's not going to Alabama. Dropped the star. Stupid.
They took 2 away from that number on the conference. That's all they needed. They dropped some weight with that 2.
Penn State at 17, Tennessee 18, Washington 19, SMU, Utah, Iowa, Clemson, Houston, Missouri. San Diego State did get votes, I think. They got 2, which is awesome. Just outside the top 25, Louisville, Florida, TCU, Illinois, South Carolina, Arizona. Well, I'm glad San Diego State's getting recognized with a couple of votes. I think the Aztecs are going to be pretty decent this year. I think they are a threat to win the Pac-12. In fact, I think when they get picked second in the Pac-12 rankings, we'll talk more about that later on. All right, let's go back into baseball mode. Eduardo Perez, do we like this or do we not like this as Padres fans? He got asked on SportsCenter the other day, like, what do you think is going to take down the Dodgers? And they gave him a list of teams, and then he didn't say any of those teams. He picked somebody else. And then he doubled down on it on MLB Network Radio this morning. Here's what Eduardo Perez had to say about who could take down who's the best chance to take down the Dodgers this year.
I love psychologically what they did at the trade deadline. They got 2 starters that they needed. They have a bullpen that is a shutdown bullpen. And they have guys that have underperformed offensively that are not what the numbers indicate that they are, and they have turned it around in the last few weeks. To me, it's the San Diego Padres. I think it's a team that, if they're matched up against the Dodgers in the division series or in the championship series, if they even get to the postseason, because they're not even right now in to qualify for the postseason. But if there's a team that I think could match up psychologically with them because of their past history of being beaten up by the Dodgers, I think it's San Diego. Call me crazy. I was there twice already this year. I've seen the Padres at their worst offensively. I think they're at their best right now offensively. And if this keeps up, I don't want to face them.
Wow. I mean, let's get to that point first, right? I mean, they got to get into a playoff spot. I like the a little bit of national attention. He makes a lot of great points. I mean, I know we don't have to. If we make those points, it sounds like we're homers, Frank. But like, I kind of agree with some of it. I mean, I think experience against LA matters. You see them all the time. I think the fact that the stars that they paid money for, are starting to really carry this offense. I think that's a step in the right direction. And the biggest problem that the Padres have had is starting pitching, and that has gotten drastically better. Now, who knows? Like, Casey Mize and Robbie Ray still have to pitch for this team. You can't just win it on paper, but the bullpen has already been legit all year, and it's probably just based on the fact that you have to move pieces around and add some guys coming back from injury is probably going to improve upon what it currently is. But you didn't take away from your bullpen at the trade deadline. You added to your starting rotation, and your offense has woken up. This is a team that is playing at a level right now that, like, at the beginning of the year, if they did, would probably be, secure in a playoff spot. I mean, if they didn't dig themselves in such a huge hole, Frank, the way they're playing right now with what they have accumulated, they'd probably be 6 games out of the division based on how the Dodgers are playing right now.
And with you talk about how good they've been here recently. What I'm looking at is over the last couple of years, when it comes to the most important games, they've been boat raced by the Dodgers during the regular season enough. But those playoff series between the Padres and Dodgers over the last couple of years, both teams have stepped up to the moment. Guys who have been down all season long have had their biggest moments and their biggest series up against the Dodgers in the postseason. So I 100% agree with Eduardo Perez that this is, if given the opportunity to, if given the shot, it will be the World Series again. As the Dodgers said in 2024, their series against the Padres in the division series was the World Series. I think if they meet in the postseason again this year, it'll be the same thing.
It's just they're finally playing like they should be playing, and now they have to make up ground. And they're not in a playoff spot yet. If they win today, they will be in a playoff spot. Right? They'll be, regardless of what Philly does, if they win today, they will be in a playoff spot, and they got to hold that spot. And we haven't gone through Philly's schedule yet to see if they could catch that next position. But I like their chances. I really do. And then, like, as the 6th seed, we've seen the 6th seed like do a lot of damage in the postseason.
100%.
And they would be taking on who? Atlanta, or has Atlanta passed? It would be Atlanta maybe in a best of 3. Padres have done well against Atlanta this year, and they've done that without the pitching that they currently have. I mean, you got a best of 3 series right now, and we'll see how Casey Mize and Robbie Ray pitch. But you go Mize, Ray, and King, and you got Buehler in the bullpen, and maybe Musgrove in the bullpen. Like, it's just a way different team going into the postseason. If they get in that spot, I think they could get through Atlanta if that's the case, and then you run into L.A. or Milwaukee. And I with the bullpen the Padres have, it's a bullpen that wins in October. It's the starting pitching right now that needs to get them to that point.
Looking at the Phillies schedule right now, they are a little light. They're in the middle of a 4-game series against the Nationals. Then they have Toronto, St. Louis, at Minnesota versus Miami versus St. Louis, at Seattle, at Anaheim, and then at Arizona. That's just to round out the month. So their schedule's a little weak.
It's a little bit easier. And they're playing good baseball right now, which is tough. The Blue Jays are playing pretty well for no reason.
Their Phillies are also on a 4-game winning streak after losing, was that like...
They lost a lot in a row that put them back into this spot. I mean, there's usually... These things usually have a way of working themselves out.
Losing 7 of 10.
Yeah, they've been bad.
Now they're on a 4-game winner.
Right, and so we'll see. What's the month of September like as I look at it?
Month of September is versus Atlanta, versus Houston.
Those are two teams battling for playoff spots right now, and Houston improved at the deadline.
At Atlanta.
Atlanta again.
At Washington.
Washington's done now.
That's Washington for 2. At New York for 4. And then it's versus Milwaukee versus Tampa Bay. So they close out with 2 potential division winners.
And I think those are teams that are going to be bad. I mean, the Cubs, I agree with Kyle Glazer on when he was in here. I totally agree with his sentiment of like they smell blood in the water and they're hunting the Brewers. I mean, wasn't that a complete role reversal of last year? Didn't the Cubs fall apart and then the Brewers took over, right? Yep. I mean... by the time Philadelphia plays Milwaukee might be battling for a division spot still with Chicago. And I haven't looked at the standings in the division. They're 5.5 up right now in Chicago. Cubs are playing really good baseball. I mean, it's going to be a fun race.
Right now,
it's going to be a fun race. Yeah, Cubs and Dodgers coming up in not too long here coming up next. When we come back, at 11 o'clock yesterday, we had the rehab assignment for Joe Musgrove and Nick Pivetta. 24 hours later, how do we evaluate how they did? We'll talk about it. All of our guests join us on the SDCCU Fan Hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking, it's better. Starting the 11 o'clock hour here on the Braden Surprenant Show. Yesterday at this time, we were talking about the Joe Musgrove, Nick Pivetta rehab stint in Lake Elsinore. Joe Musgrove looked like he looked pretty good for the most part. He felt really good after the fact in some of the quotes that he had given to local reporters. But the big question was about Nick Pivetta and how Nick Pivetta had felt. And the thing is, we have some information for you to pass along in terms of how the pitches were and everything. But we're going to talk about both of them in a second. But what did Craig Stammen have to say about how Nick Pivetta and Joe Musgrove are, mostly emphasizing on what happened with Nick Pivetta's exit to the game? Here's what Craig Stammen said pregame yesterday with the media.
Yeah, Joe came out of the outing really good. First game back in a long time, so a little bit of rust, but also, was able to do what he wanted to do and accomplish pitches-wise. Nick's was went a little bit differently. We all saw him walk off the mound. Looks like he felt a little bit of tightness in his elbow, but then he was also able to, catch his breath and then go throw 30 pitches underneath the stadium in the batting cage. So, take that for what it's worth. We'll find out how Nick feels tomorrow. Same with Joe. Find out how they feel tomorrow and then reassess and then go on from there.
I guess that's kind of the big test tomorrow because both of them pushed it a little bit more adrenaline and everything being actually in the game.
Yeah, exactly. It's, you're testing them every single time. That's why when we were talking about this a couple weeks ago, hey, they're throwing a bullpen, it's to temper the excitement a little bit because there's a lot of boxes to check before they're, back pitching in the big leagues.
Nick, he felt something in his elbow, what specifically?
Yeah, just tightness in his elbow, and I think he was just at a point where maybe scared, maybe worried, maybe hurt. We don't know. We'll find out. He threw the bullpen afterwards, which is a little ironic. That's not a typical happen on your first rehab start. So I think the key is we really just got to see how he wakes up and feels tomorrow, and then go from there. But walking off the field, you think, all right, he's done, that's it. And that's just not the case.
The bullpen, as far as you know, is it just another inning type thing? Or
they said he threw in between 20 and 30 pitches, as hard as he possibly could, all pitches, and he felt no pain.
Yeah, that was the weird part. This whole situation is just odd to me. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't think he's hurt. What Craig Stammen mentioned kind of matches what Nick Pivetta did. at that point in time, like coming off the mound, because when he came off the mound, like he didn't seem like that hurt. And then he has like this realization that like, oh, maybe I don't feel that bad. So who knows about the 30 pitches that he threw after the fact. I don't think the Padres would let him throw 20 to 30 pitches after the fact if he was hurt. He didn't go he didn't ask for a trainer immediately. That's usually something that happens. So without getting into the details, it looked odd yesterday. There's something odd about it. It's very non-traditional, if you will. And like, I don't think they're hiding an injury with this, but the story doesn't make too much sense. We'll see what happens with Pivetta. I think at the end of the day, if he's not actually hurt, nothing crazy happened, you still got to see how he feels today anyway. I mean, at this point, I will say this, what Joe Musgrove said about Nick Pivetta, it makes a lot of sense. He said, because Pivetta hasn't talked to the media after his bullpen sessions. And Joe Musgrove hasn't either. And Joe mentioned this after his outing, before Nick Pivetta went out on the hill, was he thought that, Pivetta needs to be able to trust and just throw, which he's been kind of uneasy about it. So I can believe that at some point he goes, you know what? I don't like the way this feels. If you're pitching like that and you're going into a game and you're worried about your arm, I mean, the mental side of things, any slight short of pain anywhere, you start to overthink about. I do that all the time.
Yep.
I do that all the time. I am a super hypochondriac. You get any type of pain somewhere that you don't usually feel, all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, what is this? Especially if you know about that. I have been blessed, my knock on wood, to not have anything major serious in terms of injury, but I had a concussion. And that first time back, you're a little hesitant about what's it going to be? Am I going to give myself another concussion playing football? Guys that have knee injuries, I don't know how they overcome making the same cut that they did when they got themselves hurt the first time. The mental side of it, I think, is huge. And so it doesn't, the point that doesn't surprise me is that Nick Pivetta at some point in time could have felt a little bit of a feeling in his elbow, and then it didn't feel comfortable. And then he's like, and then just comes off the mound. I can believe that. It just looks like he thought it was strike three before he got to that point, which makes it a little bit weird. But it sounds like it's better news than what a lot of people expected. We'll get the report today on Nick Pivetta. I will say this, though. When you look at his numbers from yesterday, they weren't very good in terms of comparison to 2026. But that's also not crazy because he hasn't thrown in a game in over 2 or 3 months. His fastball was down from what it was during this season. His induced vertical break was down on his fastball. His RPMs were down slightly. These are all things that Joe Musgrove said are likely to happen. Curveball movement was down. His speed was down. Sweeper was down. A lot of his numbers were not very good yesterday in this outing. But, I mean, it sounds like, according to the reports, that he threw every pitch in his arsenal. He threw them as hard as he possibly could, according to Craig Stammen, logged another 20 to 30 pitches indoors. So I guess as long as he got his work in, that sounds great. Now I think the biggest report is, how is he feeling today? And, we'll see what happens with Nick Pivetta. I think I don't want to spend too much time on Pivetta as much as Joe Musgrove, because I think Joe Musgrove looked pretty good yesterday considering the circumstances of not pitching in a game for 2 years, aside from the spring training outing that he had. And just overall, without looking at his numbers yet, he looked pretty sharp considering the circumstances. And the fact that he felt good immediately after, he had a lot of good things to say. He said he checked a lot of boxes he wanted to check himself. He still probably has a couple more of these rehab assignment outings that he has to do, but things look like they're trending in the right direction for Joe Musgrove, and I think that's positive news.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic to hear is that, and he's had typically the year and a half is more or less what the average recovery time for Tommy John surgery has been. He's almost at 2 years now. So for him to feel this good is absolutely fantastic. He didn't feel great coming off the mound in spring training, didn't feel great the day after, but he says, at least from what he said yesterday, he said he feels really, really good checked all the boxes that he wanted to check, did all the things that he wanted to do. So now it's just about waiting to see if the middle to end of August timeline that's been predicted is one that's going to stick.
Our guy, Danny Barand, put out the pitch metric numbers on social media. Fastball's up from 2020. These are all comparison to 2024. Now, he was dinged up in 2024. We knew he was pitching hurt in most of 2024. Fastball speed was up from 2024. His IVB was up. His horizontal break was up. His RPMs were down, not totally surprising. Sinker fastball, velocity up, IVB up, his horizontal break up. The only thing that was down across the board were his RPMs on his pitches, Joe Musgrove. And on top of that, like a lot of his secondary stuff, which is not too surprising because you see a loss in that when it comes with retained scar tissue. So I'm not overly worried about Musgrove. I like the fact that his fastball is up from 2024. I think that's good news. But we were looking for his fastball numbers as they were as the game was going on. Didn't get the data. After looking at some of the data, though, I think that's a very encouraging sign that his MPHs were up. Compared to what he was doing in the regular season in 2024. And I think he's going to be able to work through the curveball slider with a little bit more, practice. But I think that's all. I think that's all encouraging stats that back up what we saw on the eye test.
And what those numbers tell me, if your fastball velocity is up from what it was in 2024, that means he feels normal. He's feeling good. He trusts his arm. He's not going out there like wondering whether or not his arm is going to hurt after the pitch. He threw a lot of breaking balls. He threw a lot of sliders, specifically ones that are going to put pain and torque on your arm, on your elbow. And said again, he felt perfectly fine. He felt perfectly normal. So for him to if he can get the rotation up on his pitches like he was no doubtedly working on and trying to figure out. I'm sure probably something you could talk with Walker Buehler about after Walker Buehler coming back from Tommy John surgery as well. All signs for Musgrove point very, very good.
I can't remember what did he, because this is not like elbow issues in terms of like his Tommy John for Joe. It was something else that came up in like his elbow. It was like he didn't have enough cartilage or something like that. There wasn't enough. There was something else. I forgot what Kevin Acee reported, but there was something in his elbow that was different, but it had nothing to do with the ligaments. And so the fact that he has had 2 years now almost without having to throw for his ligaments coming back, I mean, that part's going to be dialed in, ready to go. Mm-hmm. It's just overcoming this other part. And as Joe Musgrove mentioned in his post outing yesterday, he talked about, in order to avoid some of the pain of this other issue that's not Tommy John related, he has put his arm into different angles and slots that is bad mechanically that he's having to fix. And once he gets to that point, I think it's going to be very beneficial for Joe Musgrove and, more importantly, the San Diego Padres. So the word was Nick Pivetta left the game yesterday and, thought he felt something, but then thought he didn't feel something and then threw 20 to 30 more pitches. So we will keep you updated if we get any more news out of that. But it sounds like he is not, done for the year. It sounds like it's a little bit of a scare. He went out and threw every pitch as hard as he could in his little bullpen session after he left the game. I'm sure we'll have updates from Craig Stammen later on this afternoon. But that was what was the latest on Joe Musgrove and on Nick Pivetta. We did get yesterday or a couple of days ago a report about the Padres ownership change and how they might be voting soon, or they've already passed some of the tests. They've passed some of the hurdles already in part of this process. We'll let you know what exactly is going on with that when we return. All right, this is our live reaction to the MLB trade deadline. It's officially over as we record this on Monday, trade deadline day. It's 30 minutes after the deadline, and we know exactly what the Padres are getting now in the trade deadline. They have acquired Robbie Ray. They have acquired Casey Mize. they have acquired Gage Workman. Let's talk about Gage Workman first. At this point, he has only had a handful of at-bats in the major leagues. Okay, he has done most of his damage in AAA. I think he has a total of like 50-something at-bats in the big leagues. He does have 2 home runs in the bigs. That's this year. He's played on a handful of different teams, a couple of organizations. He is 26 years old, and he's a left-handed bat. So this is something I think is a cheaper buy that you might be able to get some value out of. Maybe in the long run, I think it's a nice little, risk, if you will. It's not probably the big bat you wanted, but you know what? I think at that point when they were negotiating for Casey Mize, they probably couldn't go get a Larnach or a Alec Burleson. I think the Padres did a pretty good job with the trade deadline. I don't like the fact that they gave up Cash Mayfield for a rental pitcher. But the way Casey Mize has been pitching this year, we talked a lot about Robbie Ray already. The Padres made their rotation 100 times better than it was in these moves. The biggest loss, I think, is the Cash Mayfield part of it. I mean, you've already traded Jackson Wolf twice. And here's my thing on Jackson Wolf. If Jackson Wolf was worth what if he was really good and the starting pitching is what it was, do you think he wouldn't have been up with the big league club already with being in El Paso for most of the time? So overall, I give it a solid B. I don't like the fact that you had to slightly overpay for Robbie Ray. I don't like the fact that you had to give up one of your top 3 prospects for Casey Mize. They're both rentals, but you accomplished what you wanted to accomplish, and that was solidifying the rotation and adding a left-handed bat.
I don't think necessarily you're giving up Cash Mayfield for Casey Mize. I think you're giving him up for Gage Workman, and I think Workman would still fit up here on this roster if you send Rodolfo Duran down. Instead of carrying 3 catchers, you can now have 2 catchers. You'll have 4 outfielders, gives another outfield option, and 2 guys in Workman and Jace Bowen, 2 outfielders. I don't have a lot of major league experience that could work towards it. So I think if you look more towards Cash Mayfield for Gage Workman, I think that kind of makes a little bit more sense as far as time that those guys have. But yes, it's undeniable that with what this Padres starting rotation was going into today, based off of what it is now at 3:34 p.m. on Monday, August 3rd, it is so much better than what it was this morning.
They don't trade anything from their bullpen, which I thought was very interesting. Yeah. I thought for sure, they might have flipped in a Jeremiah Estrada for a Larnach, right? Or like move somebody in the bullpen to help your team. They don't do that. They trade away, a couple of prospects for, in arguably one of the worst farm systems in Major League Baseball, as picked out by, MLB Pipeline, and they're able to turn that without giving up Ethan Salas or Cruz Schoolcraft or Tucker Musgrove, and you're able to get 2 big arms for it. I think that's great. Now, the big conversation is, and we'll talk more about this on the talk show, you have to add Ray and Mize to this roster now. This like chaos pitching group at this point with Ray and Mize, you have to add, that's 2. Morgan and Adam are expected to be back sometime during August and early September. Musgrove and Pivetta are going on their rehab assignments starting Tuesday of this week, and who knows how that works out for the Padres. And Giolito is expected to return at some point this season. That is 7 pitchers that need to be added to this roster. Yeah, that's a lot that you're going to have to lop off. I mean, those are guys like interesting decisions about, has Kyle Hart pitched well enough to be on this team? I don't necessarily know he has done poor enough to not be on this team, but he's got options. JP Sears has options. But if you just take those 2 off, now you're thinking about Canning. Is he still on this team? Or Germán Márquez, is he still on this team? And if you cut those guys, That's 4. You still got 3 more players that you have to part ways with. And we're talking about Estrada, Matsui, obviously not Miller or Morejon, Peralta, Rodriguez, Vásquez. I mean, cutting 3 out of that group or moving, it's going to be a difficult decision. Now, that's assuming that everybody is healthy and actually does come back. But it's an interesting conversation. But this pitching staff, 4-game set against Arizona. Very important week this week as they start to go into playoff push time. We have some news, though, that we wanted to get to. But before we do that, this is breaking news to Frank that he saw. But I've been watching a lot of Ethan Salas's. I did last week about him in AAA, and they are using the ACS on top of ABS, which is the checked swing, ACS. And I've seen it a couple of times, but in the rule book right now, the check swing is at the discretion of the umpire, and there's no set of like what going is. It's just kind of like what the umpire thinks. But they are now establishing an actual line or an actual point that would count as going or not going. And if you haven't watched any of the AAA games, because in the PCL they're doing it right now, it's pretty far. Like it's like you're going to hear a lot of Mark Grant going like if he hits it, it's a double kind of attitude on the ACS. But I've liked it so far in the games that I've watched in AAA. But Frank, what's the line that they are determining?
It's more or less a parallel line with the foul line. So if you're a right-handed batter, if you go around, and your bat becomes parallel with the first baseline, then that's considered a swing. Anything short of that, so you're going to see guys go about 3/4 of the way around, and it be considered a check swing. That to me I think that's a little too far.
I think so too, but you know what? I will say this. I went back and I think it was Gwen and Chris were talking about I forgot what it was, some old-timey game of,
yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then remember
I've seen that clip,
and then it was like it was all these strikeouts that this guy was getting, and like they would the check swing was like the guy almost went like almost all the way around, but he didn't finish his swing, and they'd call it a check swing. And nowadays it was like you barely move and they call it a swing. So I like the ACS idea. I think the least amount of objectivity in sports is the best. I don't need people's opinions on rules. I really don't. The more the less subjective it is, I think the better the sport could potentially be. Are you drawing like where the line is?
Yeah, it's Frank Marchese, Bob Ross time here. So
should have played some music in the background.
There you go. That dashed line is where they're calling the swing. So if you get it out parallel and you're out in front of the foul line, but parallel to it, that is where the check swing line is.
Draw a bat somewhere and just to illustrate if it would be a check swing or a non-check swing.
So if your bat...
Are you doing this for a righty or a lefty?
So if your bat is there, let's just say that line there in the middle, if your bat is there, that's not a check swing. That is a check swing. But if your bat goes out here, then that's a swing.
Right, correct. So you could go almost probably go
pretty much all the way around. Yeah.
But as long as the barrel of your bat doesn't cross the opposite foul line.
No, it's actually it can't go parallel with it. So you can cross the plane. You basically can't put your...
No, I'm talking about like the barrel of the bat. Like obviously, if you're like this, like
I know,
but like if your barrel goes just past parallel of the opposite foul line, that's the line that it is.
Correct. Yes.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I was like, why is it so far like that? But you know what? It makes a lot of sense. Dodgers up 1-0 as Shohei takes Imanaga deep. You know, if Imanaga wasn't talking to Cookie Monster yesterday for as long as he did, he'd probably be okay. That was the greatest clip of all time. Cookie Monster was the seventh inning stretch celebrity for the Cubs yesterday, and he did like a whole 6-minute interview with their TV crew with Boog. That was must-watch television. That was fantastic.
Did he substitute peanuts and Cracker Jacks with cookies?
I don't know. I didn't hear like the seventh inning. I didn't hear that one part. I didn't watch through the seventh inning stretch. I did see the interview though.
Buy me some Oreos and chocolate chips.
He says he likes. They asked him about he's like, do you only eat cookies? He's like, no, he likes the Cookie Monster. Also likes deep dish pizza when he's in Chicago. So when he's in Chicago, man,
he draws the foul.
When in Rome. When in Rome.
Which is actually funny because I believe it was Rome that did the deep dish pizza.
Okay, moving on. The owner situation here in San Diego. So the Padres ownership transfer is nearing the finish line. Saw the update earlier this week from Bloomberg, and I think it was Monday, if I'm not mistaken. You know what? No, it was Tuesday. It was yesterday where they had the report about Bloomberg saying that the ownership transfer is almost done. But the Padres, this is Kevin Acee reporting on this. Padres are one major step away from officially entering the new ownership era. Their ownership committee, the MLB's ownership committee, has approved the transfer of controlling interest from the Seidler family to the ownership group led by Jose Feliciano and Kwanzaa Jones, clearing the way for a full vote by the remaining 29 MLB owners next week. Approval requires at least 22 votes, which is widely expected. If approved as anticipated, the transaction is expected to be to officially close during the week of August 17th. Obviously, it talks about like the how big the franchise valuation was, what they sold for, yada, 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 yada. The agreement was originally announced in May. Feliciano and Jones own approximately 45% of the club. Several members of the Seidler family and current minority owners will remain involved as minority investors. MLB rules require one official control person. Jose Feliciano will serve in that role. However, Feliciano and his wife, Kwanzaa Jones, intend to operate the franchise as equal partners. They go through the background that we've talked about a lot with Feliciano and everything like that. But perhaps the most interesting nugget from this report, of course, according to team sources, the incoming ownership group was already aware of and apparently comfortable with the Padres increasing payroll at the trade deadline, which includes $6 million in additional payroll commitments, acquiring Casey Mize and Robbie Ray to strengthen the rotation. So, for everybody that thought that, they couldn't add payroll because the new ownership group wasn't in yet, that is proven to be false. For thinking that these other teams were kind of holding them back because of the trade deadline, also false. And now it's a matter of these two. Now just a matter of, I guess, paperwork at this time, or like the official vote that they're expected to happen. But it sounds like as of August 17th, the Padres should be under the ownership control of Jose Feliciano.
Again, it's the week of, so it's not necessarily going to be on Monday the 17th of the official vote. It'll be sometime that week is the expectation that that this will be going into effect. But yeah, this article does put to bed a lot of the speculation surrounding the trade deadline, that this was more or less the Feliciano trade deadline.
Yeah, and AJ Preller still saved the money too. I mean, he got the Giants to pay for half of the remaining salary owed to Robbie Ray.
Yeah, which is what he's done that in the past with other ownership groups. He's been, as we talked about on Monday, he's been very, very good at getting rentals to be mostly paid for when coming here.
So I think this is a formality now. And, we have some people going like, wow, this is like the longest transfer of ownership ever.
It was really quick.
It was pretty fast. Usually at this point, like what would have happened was, because this is what we were expecting. We were expecting them to announce like who bought the team around this time. And then it would be pretty quick after that. I think with the word getting out, the Padres obviously had to announce that that Jose Feliciano and Kwanzaa Jones bought the team, and so therefore now all of the process that you usually go through while not knowing who the new owner is, you just had to wait through already knowing who the new owner was. At this point, it's it was just dotting I's and crossing T's and everything like that. But that should be on its way very shortly here. To the new owners. When we come back, we're going to let you know what's going on around the rest of the sports world. We're going to get to our sports thread. We got more Padres discussion to talk about throughout the show. We're going to give you an update on Aztecs football in the noon hour. Still a lot to get to here on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Summer Sports Station 97 through the Fan. 11:34 on a Wednesday. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. Standing as number one sports station 97.3. The Fan. Last night's game. Got to see some good production out of Randy Vásquez. He looked like he had a little bit of a bounce back. Funny, I didn't get any rude tweets last night about Randy Vásquez. So let's talk about Randy Vásquez. The funny thing is, it's like at the beginning of the season, I said he has the ability to be one of your top two starters. Isn't that what we said, Frank? He has the ability to do that. I didn't say he is your number one starter. People like to mince words on things that like they disagree with. And so since then, every time he does poorly, I get the same two people that like tweet at me like I'm the one pitching and doing poorly. It's like, what do you want me to say about this? Didn't get any tweets last night. I thought that was interesting.
You're right. I'll try harder.
Yeah, my bad. My bad for saying he has the ability to be a number one and number two starter. It's funny now. You root against your favorite team to prove the local radio guy wrong. Good for you, buddy.
That's
good for you, buddy.
I actually want to be that guy because that means their life is entirely figured out to the point where that is their biggest concern.
Oh, man.
I want to be that guy.
Yeah, hey, good for you, buddy. Put a picture on your profile next time instead of the Padres logo. At least one of them does have that. But it's just, you guys are so smart. Why don't you go work for the Padres? Randy Vásquez being unable to pitch is not my fault nor problem. Anyway, didn't get those tweets last night, ironically enough. Randy Vásquez did very well last night. Oh, maybe that's why. Randy Vásquez looked like he was starting to come back into his own a little bit. Got his ERA down to a 4.19 after it blew up a little bit there over the summer months. Maybe the summer months are the months that just don't do well. Like Randy does not do well in the summertime. Because last year he did really well in the end of the season, which led into a really good start to a season this season. But he went 6 innings last night, allowed 2 hits, no runs. He only walked 1. He struck out 1. He let the Diamondbacks get themselves out. I thought Randy Vásquez was really good. I thought he was exceptionally well. Did exceptionally well last night. I think that's awesome. And, we'll see how this plays out over the course of like the next couple of weeks or so. But if Randy Vásquez, and here's the other thing too, this is his second outing in a row in which he has not allowed a run. This is his third outing in a row, and he has allowed a total of 1 run. And if you go back to, the last couple of outings for Randy Vásquez, he has done exceptionally well. He gave up 2 earned runs to Atlanta, and he gave up in 2/3 of an inning wasn't very good in the 7-6 loss. He did inherit a mess, and again, he is a starting pitcher that is in the bullpen right now to kind of get right. But he's been putting together some pretty good numbers over the course of the last couple of outings, and he's worked his ERA down. I mean, his ERA was as high as a 4.72, and it's now down to a 4.19. This is a good trend in the right direction for Randy Vásquez, Frank.
Yeah, he's been very, very good. And I believe this was his first start since coming back off the IL. Of course, he's had relief appearances since then, but this is his first time actually getting to start a game, and he looked very, very good. He looked comfortable. As I said, his pitch to strike ball ratio was very good. 80 pitches to 56 strikes. That's incredible for him. He did a very, very good job yesterday, and something that you would hope that he would be able to build off of when his presumed spot in the rotation comes up next week.
It looks like he's turned the corner a little bit here in the month of July. In his last 4 outings, he's gone 14 innings, so it's nothing like to write home about. He has had very small numbers as well. But in his last 4 outings, he has a 1.93 ERA and a 3.74 fielding independent pitching. He's only walked 4 in these 4 outings. He has only struck out 3 also. But he's gotten hit a little bit. But he is pitching the contact. He is getting outs, and his teammates have talked about how different he looks in terms of his confidence and in terms of his attacking in the zone and kind of that maturity now. And the question now becomes for Randy Vásquez, and maybe it's last night, but with Randy Vásquez pitching like this and going, deep into games now in his last couple of starts, one, can you add him to the rotation here for the final stretch? And number two, has Randy Vásquez changed the Padres' entire postseason outlook by being back to and close to being back to what he was in the month of April? I think it does change the postseason outlook a little bit. I mean, I think Randy Vásquez has definitely pitched his way to be on this team for sure. But I like the way Randy Vásquez has pitched in the last couple of outings, and I think this just improves what was a major hole to your team, even more so than just adding Robbie Ray and Casey Mize. I think this definitely changes the outlook for the Padres pitching staff, especially if Randy Vásquez can keep this up.
Yeah, because then you have Michael King. Of course, you have the two additions of Ray and Mize, and now you're getting that guy of Randy Vásquez back, and then Walker Buehler now kind of becomes the long relief kind of guy who I thought personally at the beginning of the season probably fit that bill a little bit better. And then he really started to turn a corner, get into the fifth inning on a consistent basis, get through it a couple of times, has done very well in the starting role as the season has progressed. But also with Musgrove coming in, I mean, this is a solid rotation that you have built out now, especially for a guy like Randy Vásquez, who's going to be here next year under team control.
Yeah, he's under team control. He is the young, controllable pitching that you're looking for, and he's done remarkably well. And I got to look this up because I find it hard to believe that that's the case. But Randy Vásquez has done very well in Arizona, against the Diamondbacks. So maybe he's just got their number. I mean, you never know. But I think it changes the dynamic a little bit because now, let's just say we talked about this before. I think if Randy Vásquez can pitch to what he was earlier this year and what his potential is, and he looks a lot like last night. Like, I don't think he needs to throw up zeros every single time, but he is now what, your fourth starter in the rotation? If you had to put the rotation together?
Yeah, I would say number 4, number 5, depending upon
how good
the quality
Buehler is.
I was thinking depending upon the quality of Musgrove or Pivetta when they come back. But yeah, I would say right now he's your number 4.
Let's say they don't come back.
He's your number 4 over Buehler right now.
Let's say they don't come back. I mean, right now, with the way that Randy Vásquez is pitched, I mean, your rotation has Michael King in it. It has Walker Buehler in it. It now has Robbie Ray, Casey Mize. It has Randy Vásquez. That's not that's not better than the Dodgers or the Brewers rotation, but that's still a pretty solid rotation for the next month and a half. The last 50-something games that you're looking at. I mean, as of right now, I think, Casey Mize would be your number 1. Robbie Ray, kind of your number 2. Michael King, your 3. And then either Randy Vásquez and Walker Buehler is your 4 and your 5. You can survive the next 2 months with that rotation. And that's assuming that you don't get, Pivetta or Musgrove back. But, and 2 starts for Randy Vásquez at Chase Field at the old Bank One ballpark, hasn't given up a run at the Diamondbacks. Small sample size, but something of note. So we'll see how Walker Buehler does on Thursday. You get to see Casey Mize tonight. I'm excited to watch him pitch.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm excited to watch him pitch. He hasn't pitched in over a week due to the trade deadline. The front office for Detroit decided it was probably better not to have him pitch right before the trade deadline. So he has had a full week off. Hopefully it's a nice week to rest up a little bit. This can either go two ways. He's either going to be rusty tonight or he's going to be locked in. And, they played the Diamondbacks early in the year. And I can't remember how. I don't know if Casey Mize pitched against them or not because they played the Diamondbacks right after they played the Padres, and I know Casey Mize had been missing, a little bit of time due to injury, but I don't know if he was part of that rotation then. He was. Casey Mize has already pitched in Arizona this year. It was on March 31st. It was a 7-5 loss for the Tigers, but he went 6 innings. He went 6 innings. He gave up 1 earned run on a home run, 4 hits, 2 walks, 9 punch-outs against the Rattlebacks. So not bad. Not bad. We'll see how Casey Mize does tonight at Chase Field. We will also figure out what else is going on in the sports world. We got NFL training camps going on. We got Major League Baseball playing. We got some news and notes always in college athletics. What's Frank Marchese got up his sleeve today?
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right, Frank, what do we got going on today?
We have a decent amount actually going on today. A lot of breaking news this morning. One of those
Number 1
is that the Washington Commanders have now signed, or reportedly signing, 4-time Pro Bowl receiver Stephon Diggs to a 1-year deal worth up to $12 million, giving quarterback Jaden Daniels another proven playmaker alongside Terry McLaurin. Diggs, a Maryland product, has topped 1,000 receiving yards in 7 of the past 8 seasons and brings veteran leadership to a receiving corps that struggled with injuries and inconsistency last year. For Washington, it's a low-risk, high-upside move that could significantly boost an offense looking to take the next step in the NFC. Is Stephon Diggs the missing piece that the Commanders needed on offense, or are his best years behind him?
His best years are behind him. I mean, this is a sweet move if you're Washington, like 4 or 5 years ago, because I didn't think Stephon Diggs was the missing piece in New England either, right? Because he went to New England, he was supposed to be the weapon up there for Drake May, and it's just, he's been okay. He's been losing production. He's not the same receiver he used to be. So I don't think this is the missing piece for the Washington Commanders. I really don't. It's definitely better than what they had, and you had to replace Deebo Samuel in some capacity. He was also not necessarily the answer for the Niners, but I don't think this is going to be a huge deal for Washington. I really don't. And maybe he has a great year. Who knows? But him and Terry McLaurin, it's not terrible, but it's not like a receiving core that really scares me.
I do agree.
Number 2.
Also broke today, Live Golf has secured a new lead investor that will keep the league operating beyond this season after Saudi Arabia's public investment fund ended its financial backing earlier this year. While the investor's identity and financial details have not been released, Liv says that the deal is expected to close in September and could be joined by more than a dozen additional minority investors. The league also announced plans for a revamped 2027 schedule and a new ownership model that would make the players the majority equity holders. The move marks a major step towards long-term stability as LIV looks to establish itself as a permanent fixture in professional golf. Does this investment prove LIV Golf is here to stay, or will it continue to struggle to compete with the PGA Tour for the sport's top players and fans?
So they're getting an investment group in there?
Okay. They are getting an investment group.
Eventually, your sport has to be able to sustain itself based on your own profits. You can survive like this for as long as somebody's willing to fit the bill. But if your product does not generate any revenue, it's never going to survive. This is the case for a lot of different leagues out there. I mean, the biggest reason why the USFL and XFL and all these spring football leagues haven't survived is because they can't get people to spend the money on there. I mean, you can keep writing checks and just throw it into a money pit to keep it going, but eventually you're going to have to survive on your own. This is how all these other leagues have survived on their own when they first got established in the late 1800s, early 1900s, when you're talking about football and basketball and baseball. Eventually, it got to a point where it became entertaining, and so entertaining enough that people wanted to spend top dollar to watch these events play, and that's why these guys make all this money. And that's why it's popular, right? So eventually your product has to generate its own revenue, and I don't think Live Golf is going to be able to do it. They've already tried like the big name golfers. It hasn't clicked. There's no like status or prestige to Live Golf, and it's kind of hard making a league that counteracts one of the more traditional leagues. This is why nobody's challenged the NFL, right? Or nobody's challenged Major League Baseball, or nobody's challenged the NBA in the United States. I mean, you could make other leagues. You could spend a ton of money to get some of the best players, but if you can't get people to care about your product, they're not going to watch. And if they don't watch, you're not going to make money. And if you don't make money, you're going to fold. I mean, there's nothing stopping like billionaires from making their own league and having the best players play in it. But if people don't go watch, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, this is part of the reason why the Super League in soccer failed.
Number 3.
The bookmaker. This is so interesting to me. The bookmaker who took bets for Shohei Ohtani's former interpreter, Ippei Mizuhara, says it became clear within a month that Mizuhara had a serious gambling problem. In ESPN's The Betrayal of Shohei Ohtani podcast, dear God, Matthew Boyer described Mizuhara as constantly chasing losers, while the former U.S. attorney on the case argued that the thefts couldn't be blamed on addiction alone, saying that Mitsuhara also exploited Ohtani's trust for personal gain. The revelations provide more insight into how a gambling addiction spiraled into one of the biggest financial scandals in sports, costing Ohtani nearly $17 million. Does the Ohtani Mitsuhara case show that gambling addiction was the primary cause of the crime, or was greed the biggest factor in what happened?
I don't know. I'm so done talking about the Ohtani thing.
The bookie said that he was gambling like a madman.
Oh, Ippei?
Yes. And again, I don't understand why this is all coming out now. Like, what's the point in it coming out now? Usually if something big like this comes out, it's usually to distract from something else that either is or is going to happen. There's nothing here. There's nothing impending that they're trying to go, ooh, look over here, look over here. There's nothing like that in this case.
I don't know why it's coming out now. I don't know the background for this of why that they wanted to make this a big story again. I mean, maybe they're just trying to get some downloads here. I mean, they're not really releasing anything that's new. It's all relatively been reported on this already. Like, I heard Dylan Hernandez up in the LA Times saying like everything that they put in this is like stuff that the LA Times already broke and already talked about. Like, it's nothing new. It's not a lot of new stuff. The only time that stuff comes out like this again is if it was like a new glaring story of it being completely different than what was first reported. That's usually when you get something like this. So I just think it's a way for ESPN to try to like get people to download podcasts. I have no interest in listening to this. I don't care. It happened too long ago now. It is what it is.
It's so dumb.
Number 4.
Notre Dame head coach Marcus Freeman is urging his team to stop talking about the college football playoff that they're already in, and focus
didn't make last year,
and focus on earning its way back, which they don't have to do after last season's disappointing snub. Join a conference. Despite returning a talented roster, including quarterback C.J. Carr and several NFL caliber players, Freeman says the Irish can't afford to look ahead already. After early season losses derailed recent campaigns. With Notre Dame expected to begin the season ranked in the top 5 and holding high expectations, Freeman believes the only path back to the playoffs, is through politics, is by taking care of business one game at a time. Is Marcus Freeman making the right move for downplaying playoff expectations, again, which they're already in, or should a program like Notre Dame embrace the pressure of being a national contender?
I mean, you want to keep your kids focused. I understand what he's saying. They didn't make it last year. It's kind of hard to like just be thinking about the playoff already. But when you have the schedule that they have,
makes it easy.
Open up the season with Wisconsin. Sick. And then they play Rice, not the side dish. That's the school. And then they play Michigan State. Sick. Then they go to Purdue. And then they play North Carolina. And then they play Stanford. Their toughest game in their first, I don't know, what is that, 3, 6, 7 weeks is at BYU. That's actually a decent game. Then they got Navy. They got Miami, who's tough. Okay, I'll give them that. Saturday, November 7th, part of this ACC
Beat them last
deal.
year.
Right? Then they got Boston College. They play SMU at home, and then they go to Syracuse.
Which, by the way,
Come on.
Boston College can sod all the way off after what their basketball program did.
I like Bill O'Brien. Okay, do not let the basketball program affect how you view the football program. The basketball program's a joke. Maybe we talk about that. I'm surprised you didn't put that in the sports thread.
I think it was kind of a joke.
Be a
longer-term conversation.
There was other reports out there that maybe the play-by-play guy was popping off a little bit, but you know what? Let's discuss that when we come back. We got Aztecs football we need to discuss as well. New lunchtime hour. halfway point of the show. Halfway point of the day. It's noon here in America's finest city. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. All right, we went to break talking about it, and there's a couple of things that we want to add to the sports thread. One, did you see the Akron story?
I did see the Akron story.
I saw the tweets about it. Can you tell us what it is?
Akron, I want to get it right here.
Akron football.
So what?
Catch the fever.
So what Akron is doing is one lucky fan will be able to script the opening offensive drive for their home opener this season. Extra chance to win with every new season ticket holder you refer. A random drawing among season ticket holders will be taken. The drawing will be held on August 19th. So I'm assuming if you become if you are or become a season ticket holder for Akron football, you get to be the offensive coordinator for the opening drive of their home opener against Robert Morris.
That is so ridiculous.
What a promotion.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Extra chance to win with every new season ticket holder you refer. Random drawing among season ticket holders. Drawing will be held on August 19th.
And the first thing I see after that is the video from the clip from Varsity Blue where the head coach is like grabbing the back quarterback by the face mask, screaming in his face. Me to the Akron quarterback when he audibles out of the first 5 go-around plays that I call.
Yeah, I just love how all the memes are killing me. Like, first play that I would call, somebody posted like the terrible fake punt that they did with the Colts against the Patriots.
Yes.
Remember that? It's just like, I'm going to kick a field goal on 1st and 10. I mean, what are we doing? You could get a football season ticket at Akron for $75.
Jeez.
Like guys at like Barstool and stuff are going to like be entering this contest.
Writing up a QB draw for my first play as Akron offensive coordinator, getting him sent to the hospital off rip.
Robert Morris fans can do the funniest thing.
Oh my God!
Or like any rival of Akron. I mean, does Akron have any rivals? Do people even care if Akron loses football games? I mean, who thought this was a good idea? I can't. You know what? I guess it's a good idea in a sense that they're going to get some season tickets purchased, and they're going to get a bunch of people to watch their first drive of their season.
Me to the head coach after scoring on the first drive and Akron losing 35-7.
Oh my God. Okay, when I first saw this post, I didn't read through it. I was like, okay, what kind of weird? I thought it was some weird thing you had to accomplish on NCAA 27, and then you got to win tickets.
Ticket holder.
Some season ticket holder is going to be able to call the opening script. I mean, sweet. Sounds like your guys are going to go 3 and out. Or Robert Morris is that bad. I mean, there's so many people that put their hard time and effort into coaching that are insulted right now. I mean, how does the offensive coordinator maybe he thinks it's a great idea. It makes him look even better as an offensive coordinator if the fan goes out there and sucks.
Oh, so you thought about firing me because I keep going 3 and out. Look at what this dude just did.
What about the defensive coordinator for Robert Morris? Like, what are we doing here? It's so disrespectful to coaches that put their hard time, effort, and soul into these things. I mean, these aren't the guy. I mean, I guess it's D1. I'm sure they're making pretty good money, but it's a tough job to coach, and we're just going to give it away for the opening drive of the season. Beyond absurd. I can't wait to see it. I hope it costs Akron the game. I hope Robert Morris wins because of something disastrous on the opening drive. I think it'd be the funniest thing ever. I'm kind of hoping that's the case for Boston College basketball, too. That stuff was nuts. Now, I've seen some other reports out there with some unsolicited text messages, but I don't understand what's going on at Boston College when it comes to their basketball program. I really don't. Hang on a second. I did see this too. So before we go to that, one more thing on the Akron situation. This guy on Twitter, the Herd Bros, he's like, I don't know what he is, follow college football analysis, group of 5 advocate, yada, 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 yada. I'm sure he likes Marshall. The guy's like, it's like an avatar, and he's wearing like a green shirt, and his name's called Herd Bros. You kidding me? He's probably got to be a Marshall fan. He goes, I'm confused with Akron's primary objective now. Is it just fundraising? They will have tons of season tickets that are purchased and likely never used. You're almost guaranteeing a mass section of empty seats unless you can reach out to all contestant losers and ask them to donate their season tickets to local elementary school kids.
That's true. That's 100% true.
They're going to get the money for it. They're going to play in front of nobody for like the entire season.
Yep. 100%.
It's not like those people are going to be able to make any money back. It's $75 for a season ticket. They just want to get it's just fundraising at this point. There's so many flaws to this logic that Akron football came up with, but I guess that's why they're Akron football. All right. Do you have the story pulled up for the Boston College situation?
I don't have the story pulled up.
Awful Announcing had it. I thought it was kind of sickening to hear about this. And look, I think
I got it now.
Yeah, I got to pull it up on my side too.
So there's also a response. There's also a reply from Boston College, which we should get to. Well,
that response was so lame, dude. That was super lame. But essentially, like, and who knows? I mean, at this point, it sounds like the broadcasters went to an Awful Announcing to complain about this. And we have, there's a statement that we got to give out as well from Boston College. It's super vague.
I have both up.
And then there was there was the story about like what alleged text messages from the play-by-play guy and asking of like what the head coach currently should do or something like that. But you couldn't really verify that he actually said that. So there's a lot of moving parts to the story. But essentially, the main focal point of this story was Boston College is looking for 2 new broadcasters for their basketball games because of, as reported, the new head basketball coach of Boston College wants nobody around the program that was part of the losing ways of the program before he took over, which is the most asinine thing I've ever heard. Now, there's some other story. There's probably more to this story than just that, but according to the report from Awful Announcing, Boston College men's basketball program has found itself in the middle of a controversy after longtime radio broadcasters Kevin Collins and Josh Maurer, who, by the way, is one of the broadcasters for the Milwaukee Brewers. So it's not like these guys are just like terrible at their job or anything. I mean, according to Collins, school administrators told the pair the decision originated with first-year head coach Luke Murray, who wanted a complete break from anything connected to the previous era of the program. Kevin Collins has spent 13 seasons broadcasting Boston College basketball and has worked under 3 head coaches and 5 athletic directors, while Maurer had been alongside him for the last 9 seasons. Both were informed just before August 1st. Meanwhile, the basketball season's like around the corner, but they were informed just before August 1st, leaving virtually no opportunity to secure another full-time broadcasting position for the upcoming season. Because the new head coach, Luke Murray, who's Bill Murray's son, who has been an assistant on Dan Hurley's staff at UConn, apparently, according to Kevin Collins, had never met with either broadcaster despite repeated attempts. Collins said both broadcasters tried throughout the spring and summer to introduce themselves. Requests of a phone call, meeting, or even a catered lunch with the coaching staff were denied and ignored. Collins says he was repeatedly assured by management that their jobs were safe until suddenly being informed otherwise. The explanation relayed by the deputy athletic director, Craig Anderson, was that Murray wanted, quote, a fresh coat of paint and didn't want anyone associated with what was described as the previous program's, quote, losing mentality. The irony of this is neither broadcaster had any meaningful relationship with previous coaching staffs beyond traveling to games and calling broadcasts. If this story is 100% true, and I'm sure there's something else involved, and maybe Boston College is having a vague answer back because of something maybe the play-by-play guys did. But if this story is true, this is the most disgusting thing I've ever heard by any basketball coach. It's like, by the way, Luke Murray has never been a head basketball coach in college basketball before. This is his first head coaching job. He's been an assistant at UConn. He has been credited with being the defensive whiz kid of UConn basketball. He's the son of Bill Murray, and who knows how much funding Bill Murray had given NIL for UConn. I think that's a separate conversation. But this guy gets the job at Boston College, wants the entire staff gone, including the radio broadcasters, who have no impact on how the team plays. I mean, these are two people's livelihoods that you just played with for we want to have a winning mentality. That is the dumbest thing I have ever heard from a coach. That coach speak is beyond dumb. I hope that this story is not true, because to do this with two people that have been doing this job for 13 and 9 seasons, who have seen this team through multiple coaching staffs, it's like, hey, you know what? We don't want anybody involved. Are you firing everybody in the athletic department? I mean, shouldn't everybody in the athletic department go if that's like the mentality over there? By the way, the gall that Boston College is going to step up for like the people they have employed there? I mean, this is a joke.
The statement from the Boston College athletic director, Blake James, said, quote, the decision to not renew the contracts of our men's basketball radio announcers was made by Boston College athletics administrators in consultation with our MMR partner. We wish both Kevin and Josh the best going forward.
Then why didn't they do that in March? Why didn't they do that at the end of March when all of these jobs open up? If they knew the contract was going to expire, you decided to do it right before August 1st, where now you have, first of all, less of a chance to go find somebody that can do the job at probably this level. It is a power forward job. But the biggest frustration that Colin says in this interview, and his primary complaint, is that Murray they never had conversations with the basketball coach. They were never evaluated. They were never allowed to build a relationship. They just kind of were like, you know what? We want to be able to, win, and we need winners here. We need none of the losers that were part of this program before we got here, and that includes everybody, including the radio broadcaster. Did they get rid of the SID? Did they get rid of the sports and information director that covers Boston College basketball? Did he get the axe too because he was associated with losing basketball? I mean, the audacity. It's the most sickening story I've ever heard. There's got to be more to this. There's no way this is 100%. I mean, there's just no way. If this is legit, accurate, there's no way Boston College is going to be able to just, brush this under the rug like it's no big deal. And if it's not accurate, they probably should have said something even more important before they get the entire country against them in basketball. Collins said he even volunteered to remain with the program solely as an engineer with no on-air role. That request was also rejected. His takeaway, Murray simply wanted everybody replaced. Collins believes administrators failed to defend longtime employees. He claims Deputy AD Craig Anderson initially pushed back internally. Ultimately, administrators allowed Murray's wishes to prevail. Collins believes the university never gave him an opportunity to explain why they should remain. Collins emphasized he wasn't simply the play-by-play announcer. He frequently handled engineering, produced broadcasts, called games solo, worked color commentary when necessary, traveled extensively. He believes replacing that level of versatility on the same budget will be difficult. I mean, he was kind of doing this because he was like, it's a fun job. He wasn't getting paid very well, and he was doing a lot of different things for basically free. and they decided to get rid of him because he is a loser because of the other teams that were there before him. Like, that's how I take this away. So you got rid of a guy that's like living, sleeping, just everything about Boston College basketball, and you get rid of him because the new coach wants to do coach speak, and I only want winners here, and anybody that was part of the last program is not a winner, and therefore they have to go. There has to be more to this story. Collins grew up a Boston College fan. He says he never asked for raises. Money wasn't the motivation. Calling Boston College basketball was a dream job. Despite everything, he says he'll still continue to root for Boston College and even offer to help whoever replaces him. Initially, Boston College declined to comment, but then they put out the statement that Frank gave out. The statement did not specifically address Collins' claims that Luke Murray initiated the decision. So, if this story is true, and this is the report from Awful Announcing, it is a disgusting story. I can't believe this to be 100% accurate. There has to be something else that these guys did to cause this, but it doesn't make sense why they would let the two broadcasters for Boston College go right before August 1st, before they get ready for the basketball season, where then they'd have no chance to go get another job. At least one of the broadcasters works for the Milwaukee Brewers, and he has something to do right now, and Josh Mauer. But Kevin Collins, it's it. That's over now. And the reason that has been given to him, at least that he believes, is unacceptable.
You almost hope they did something because this is just so callous and crass. It really is out of Boston College. You almost hope that there is some sort of scandal involved in this.
I saw some texts about whatever it is. I mean, we've seen some of the statements, I wonder what else had to be involved. But the whole story is on CBS. It's on Awful Announcing. It's all over the place. And all Boston College has done is just said it wasn't his decision. It was our decision. That's going to make this problem go away. It's honestly better if you were to be like, hey, here's other the reasons why we decided to part ways. But if they don't have any reasons for that, then it's a joke. I mean, it's kind of a joke. I mean, if they were negative broadcasters, then they would have said that they're going in a different direction because they're negative broadcasters. But I don't, knowing that one of them is the broadcaster of the Brewers, I feel like that's probably not the case. There has to be more to this story. It's all over the place. I see a lot of broadcasters tweeting about it. I mean, Mike Farron was totally upset about it, and he tweeted at Brewers fans hey, do you see how Boston College treated your broadcaster over there? I really hope this isn't the answer. I really hope this isn't the case. And again, in this article, they have Kevin Collins' side of the story. We don't know the other side of the story of this. Boston College might be taking the high road here. There might be more to this story than meets the eye. Maybe they're doing it to just take the high road. But if this story is true, it's a sickening story. And the fact that the guy, and the other thing too, you got the son of Bill Murray is is a brand new head coach. This is his first year as a head coach. He worked under Dan Hurley, who's also just an incredible pain in the you-know-what. It somewhat checks out and is believable that would actually be the case. But the more I read that story, the worse it got, Frank. And the more upset I got with it as somebody who also broadcasts as broadcasters. I mean, it's just hey, you might be out of a job if the
second.
If the other team. If the team that you're broadcasting for doesn't do well, and then the new coach wants a brand new staff.
That's a bad precedent to set.
That's a terrible precedent to set. It's I better hope the team's really good. Otherwise, the new coach is going to be well, I want my guy in there. I mean, that's a tough deal. That's a tough deal for a lot of broadcasters out there. Anyway, when we come back, Aztec football started today. We'll get you a full report on what's going on the Mesa. First day of football. A little bit of a preview of the season when we return. For the first time, the SEC and Big Ten are officially supporting federal legislation that could completely change college sports. After a month of negotiations, both conferences have backed the Protect College Sports Act, a bill that would create national NIL rules, restore transfer regulations, and strengthen eligibility standards and give NCAA more authority to enforce those rules. The compromise also raises the revenue sharing cap to more than $40 million per school while trying to close NIL loopholes that schools have been using to spend even more on athletes. Now the bill needs 60 Senate votes before Congress leaves for recess. If it passes, this could become the biggest piece of college sports legislation since NIL was introduced in 2021. Will Congress finally deliver the stability college athletics has been searching for? Well, it's one of the biggest storylines in college athletics right now. And for the first time in months, there appears to be real momentum toward a federal solution that could bring stability to college sports.
Yeah, so after weeks of intense negotiations with lawmakers, the two most powerful conferences in college athletics, the Big Ten and the SEC, have officially endorsed the Protect College Sports Act. The conferences had previously withheld support over concerns of NIL restrictions, revenue sharing limits, conference governance, and future expansion. Following last-minute revisions to the bill, both conferences agreed that the changes addressed enough of their concerns to publicly support the legislation. That's significant because without the backing of the SEC and Big Ten, many lawmakers were hesitant to move forward with the bill. Now the legislation has its strongest momentum yet and heads now towards a Senate vote.
So the Protect College Sports Act would create the first comprehensive federal framework for modern college sports. Among its biggest provisions, gives the NCAA and conferences antitrust protections to enforce rules. It creates national standards for NIL compensation, restores limits on immediate transfers by allowing one unrestricted transfer, and reinforces standardized eligibility rules, which creates stronger oversight of athlete compensation. Perhaps most importantly, though, the bill attempts to bring consistency to a system that's largely been governed by lawsuits and differing state laws over the past 5 years. If passed, it would represent one of the biggest changes to college athletics since NIL was introduced in 2021. And I like this. I mean, I like a lot of the things that are in there. I mean, I get the only thing that's a little bit negative is they increased some of the revenue sharing, which I think a lot of the big schools benefit from at $40 million plus. They put in some caveats to it to make sure that they're investing in other sports besides football, which is not the end of the world. I mean, the SEC and the Big Ten were going to come out on top on this for sure, but it definitely has put in a lot more oversight to college athletics, which it is desperately needed.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially when you look at cases like what we talked about last week on the show with the kid from Tennessee. Like you complain and you see all these things about the NCAA losing all these cases that they should be winning as far as athlete eligibility. And then they go and do something like that where you sit a kid out for 2 weeks because of a $400 flight while he was debating whether or not to join the NFL. So this now gives these guys a format to follow, both the NCAA and the conferences, to where stuff like that doesn't happen anymore.
Will Congress get it across the finish line, though? That's the biggest challenge because the Senate still needs to bring the bill to the floor before lawmakers leave for their August recess, and it requires 60 votes to pass. If successful, the bill would then move to the House before eventually reaching President Donald Trump's desk, where the administration has indicated support for federal college sports legislation. And while there's finally optimism after months of negotiations, there's still no guarantee the legislation reaches a vote before Congress leaves Washington, which leads us back to our old I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only the Schoolhouse Rock song, if you will. For anybody that hasn't seen that, maybe you got to go back and rewatch. There could be a lot of issues with the bill getting it through, but I'm just glad they have, the conferences collectively have agreed to this. Congress wants to get this thing done. So hopefully they're able to make this thing happen. I think it's good for college athletics. I think the money being a little bit high hurts some smaller schools. And the big schools were always going to get, some love here, but limiting transfers is huge. I think honoring contracts is huge. I think Some antitrust law exemption is huge. These are all things that college football absolutely needed before they allowed NIL, and they finally got it.
Yeah, and looking at some of those things you had mentioned, the $40 million must be distributed differently. They'll get $22.5 million for athlete retention, so more than half of that is going to go to athlete retention, as well as $5 million dedicated to not only women's sports, but Olympic sports as well. So that's part of where that extra $40 million comes from.
So this isn't over yet. I mean, the next week could be one of the most important in recent college sports history. So if the Senate schedules a vote before recess, the Protect College Sports Act could move one step closer to becoming law. If it misses that window, the bill faces a much tougher road as Congress now shifts their focus towards upcoming midterm elections. Either way, crew getting let go because of allegedly, at least they were told, because the new head coach didn't want them. Didn't want anybody attached with the old program part of this team. There's two things that are happening here, because I really find that one hard to believe, and if it is, it's dumb. Either way you look at this mystery of why these two guys were fired, both of them are bad. So it's either Luke Murray, the son of Bill Murray, who had been on Dan Hurley's staff at UConn, just got hired at Boston College to be their basketball coach. Either he made the call and wanted zero carryover from the previous regime, including the radio team, which is beyond, as somebody that's a coach, that is beyond stupid. That has no impact on whether or not you win games or not. That is beyond stupid. It's either that, which looks bad and is dumb, or this is an angle that we haven't looked at yet, that I didn't think about until I read it in The Athletic, and I was like kind of following up to make sure there was not any more details of the story. This is a good point. I totally forgot this. So it's either Murray made the call and he's doing this for stupid coach speak, or the athletic department made the call to replace the two play-by-play guys for men's basketball. And then, because this is what the play-by-play guy, Kevin Collins, said he was told. So they either made the call and then falsely blamed the new head coach for the reason why they weren't getting their job back. So they throw their new head coach under the bus while misleading two long-tenured broadcasters. That's the two things that are happening here. Either Luke Murray, the new head basketball coach at Boston College, said, you know what, everybody needs to go, including the radio broadcasters, which is dumb, or the athletic department wanted to change, and they're throwing Luke Murray under the bus as the reason why they have to make the change, which just might be equally sickening, Frank, as number one.
Like I said, I hope you're kind of hoping for a San Antonio Spurs situation at this point.
That's right.
That's kind of where you're at right
now. You're hoping they get something else, and Boston College is taking the high road, but right now it doesn't look very good. And here's the thing, either scenario for them is very damaging because people love longtime radio voices, right? I mean, could you imagine? I don't want to say it, so I'm not gonna, but just imagine our local situation here and thinking if we operated like that in terms of San Diego State or even at USD or UCSD or even the Padres. Could you imagine the Padres have a bad year? It's you know what, Jesse and Tony, it's time for a change. The new manager says you guys got to go. No. How incredibly unprofessional that is. And then how about the other situation of he didn't actually say that, but instead of just saying we want to go in a different direction, it's let's throw our brand new coach under the bus. Those are the two options here. Neither of them are good. It is an avoidable, self-inflicted PR wound that makes a struggling program in Boston College look even smaller and raises a lot of questions about the judgment and culture under a brand new team. This is a major distraction for them. I can't wait to see what happens. But if it wasn't Luke Murray, he has to, in his first media session, go up there and take one for the team and be you know what, we apologize on behalf of for this happening. But if it was his decision, then I guess he would have nothing to apologize for. He could just wear it. I can't wait to see them actually talk about this. You know for a fact they're going to ask the question. And and I feel bad for whoever takes over this new spot. It's not going to be great. It's not going to be great. Talk about first impressions, Frank. I mean, that's rough.
It's a hell of an impression.
However way you look at it, that is rough. All right, there's a couple of things we want to get to with Aztec football. We're going to continue it in the next segment. We got 3 minutes here. I do want to talk a little bit about the preseason poll. The media poll came out. I don't know when they did this because they didn't have a media day, but media poll came out. Boise State got picked number 1 in the new Pac-12 conference. San Diego State number 2. Fresno State 3. Texas State 4. I could go through the whole thing because there's only 8 teams. Washington State, Colorado State, Utah State, Oregon State. Boise State received 14 of 16 first-place votes. San Diego State did receive a first-place vote. Fresno State received the other first-place vote, which is definitely a dramatic jump after being picked near the bottom last season in the Mountain West for San Diego State. So what the poll tells us, of course, offense, I think, good enough to compete immediately. It sounds like from reports from Kurt Kenny in the newspaper that the offense should be ready to go from the get-go. Defense has a lot of holes to fill, and they got to build some trust, for this fan base because of the fact that they had a really good year last year, but they got a lot to replace in the defense, either through the portal or on to the next level. So coaching staff, got to trust the coaching staff to reload this team despite losing 8 starters from a year ago. And we'll see what the status of Tano Latuli is. I mean, Tano's been battling his knee injury that he suffered late last year. Hopefully he can be ready to go by week 1. But obviously the respect around the conference has clearly changed for San Diego State, especially this brand new conference. I think it's a good sign that they're getting 2 votes in the coaches poll for the AP top 20, for the coaches top 25 nationally. I think it's also good that they got a first place vote in the Pac-12. I think it's great that they're number 2 in the preseason poll, Frank. I know preseason polls don't really matter. It's good to get some recognition from your peers, though.
No, it absolutely is. And from everything we've seen as far as the quality of this team and what they did last year, this is a team that should be up there in the Pac-12 polls. This is a team that should be up there fighting for a Pac-12 championship this year. And it's good to see it. The other coaches took what happened last year, saw how much talent was retained by San Diego State and how they should be performing this season and placing it very, very highly.
So we'll take a look at more of San Diego State in just a little bit. What's the on-field conversation? What does this Aztec team look like? And what's the big picture as we head into the first day of camp? They already finished their first camp day at San Diego State. We'll talk more about the Aztecs football program when we come back. 12:40 on a Wednesday. It has been a heck of a Wednesday for Frank Marchese. I do agree with that sentiment. It's like if I schedule something for a certain time. This is like the Seinfeld bit about the reservation.
It's the reservation bit.
Yeah. Why do it?
So what had happened was, apparently there were some stream issues that I didn't know about. I thought, Braden, you were using that as a cover for me.
No, there were stream issues. You're having stream issues.
I didn't know that. When I got
here, you really
here,
like to out yourself, don't you?
I don't care. It happens. When I pulled into the parking lot here, perfect timing for it to happen. My brake pedal goes all the way to the floor. I'm like,
that doesn't sound like.
Yeah,
that.
I'm like, okay, that's not good.
That doesn't seem like that works.
No.
Is this bad?
I park up and I go and look at my right front corner because I've had problems with my right front brakes. The inside right front brake pad keeps wearing out faster than all of the other ones. So I'm thinking there's a problem with the caliper. I go in, I walk around to the right front, and there is just fluid everywhere. I blew a brake line. Like right as I pulled in, my right front brake line exploded. I call Allstate and schedule a tow between 2 and 3 o'clock. So this way it gets my car home and
you have to wait here all day.
It gets me home at the same time. My parents aren't bothered. None of that. I get a text now saying, oh yeah, he's going to be here. He's going to be there in about 20 to 30 minutes. Huh?
No, that doesn't help me. That was the same thing.
I scheduled for 2 to 3 for a reason. I appreciate you being here an hour early, but I don't. I don't need that right now. That doesn't help me.
Right. That's the problem with this is I experienced this too, like with moving. It with moving, it's like they're like, here are the times that we might show up. And so I had it where I was like, okay, this window makes sense, this window makes sense, this window makes sense. I'm not going to be here for this time. And I was like, all right, perfect. It's going to work out. I'm going to be there in the window. Most of the windows were overlapping each other. I was the first person on all the windows, and they all showed up before the window of when they were supposed to be there. It's like, what? Then what's the point of giving me the window? Just be like, at some point, I'm going to drop your stuff off, and that's going to be it.
It's like that old John Caparulo joke. He calls his cable company. He's like, yeah, we'll be out there between 10 a.m. and Thursday. You going to be home? I was like, yeah, probably at some point.
So what are you going to do now? So the car's going to get towed.
Yeah, my mom's going to have to come and get me because I'm not going to. You have football practice. I'm not going to ask anyone else here to take me home.
I mean, you can come to football practice if you want.
No, I'm good. Thank you. I enjoy.
We don't have celebrity code. We're going to work on kickoff today. You could be a celebrity. You just go out there and start yelling at kids.
That's cool. I enjoy air conditioning. So
you know what? We're by the coast, okay? So we don't have we have the nice little coastal breeze. Kids were complaining about the heat. It's not hot out there. It's nice.
I don't understand. I scheduled 2 o'clock for a reason. So there's going to be a point here, either this segment or in the next one, that I'm going to have to go down there and give the guy my keys. So I'm going to have to run out here quickly. And this is it just continues. I may have won a Truck Series championship. However.
And Frank Marchese's luckless few weeks continues.
What a drop. Frank pulled the drop from the play-by-play guy of his online racing league talking about the woes that he has had racing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God. I got to hear that one more time.
And Frank Marchese's luckless few weeks continues.
That's amazing.
I
feel like we're going to get a lot of good use out of that one.
Yeah, you are.
Oh, my God. Padres retweeted the Blue Jays roster move. The Blue Jays have claimed Matt Waldron off waivers. So He is now a Blue Jay. How does it make you feel? How do you feel about that? Is that more or less
they have
stressful / upsetting than blowing a brake line?
They have experience with knuckleball pitchers. I mean, recent experience with knuckleball pitchers. They had R.A. Dickey in the organization. Are they going to get Josh Tolley to come out of retirement to catch him?
You going to trade for Candiotti's kid from the Padres? I don't even think Candiotti's kid actually throws a knuckleball. I don't think he actually does.
As we speak, Toronto just tied the game up with a 2-run homer, so it's 3-3 now between Toronto and Houston.
The Dodgers getting their ass kicked.
Yeah, it's been very, very fun these last couple days, especially watching the Yankees get railroaded on deadline day after their fan base was mad they didn't get a catcher and any bullpen arms.
It's all right, man. They got the new Anthony Volpe. They got George Lombard Jr.
Yeah, that's cool. And now to see the Dodgers getting just completely boat raced on a daily basis is quite nice. Not so fun seeing Pete Crow Armstrong hitting 2 home runs today. A couple days after he questioned the existence of Babe Ruth.
He believes that guy never existed?
Uh-huh.
Let me ask you this. Do you think PCA thinks pandas are real or they're guys in suits? Have you heard that conspiracy?
I mean...
Have you heard that conspiracy? I think Joe Rogan talked about it one time. I saw it on the internet the other day. I was like, there's people that think that every panda is just people in suits. They're not actually animals because they weren't around. They're not in any old artwork, whatever like that. And all of a sudden they just popped up out of nowhere and then they act like children the whole time, that there's no way that they're real animals. That's like their belief. They think all pandas are fake.
It's so fun.
People just come up with the craziest stuff nowadays.
Go Aztecs. Pete Crow Armstrong never watched The Sandlot then. There are some movies that for a sport should be a prerequisite to be able to get in. Like you should have watched The Sandlot at least once in your life before becoming a Major League Baseball player. Until this weekend, NASCAR had a weekend off, which is why you haven't seen
a NASCAR update.
Yeah, which is why there wasn't a NASCAR update. This weekend was the first time that Christopher Bell, who's been in NASCAR for a while, has a dozen or so Cup Series wins. This was the first weekend he had ever seen Days of Thunder.
It's a good movie.
That's a movie that should be a prerequisite to get your racing license.
All right, let me ask you this then. What are the movies you need for how many movies do you need to watch in order to be a baseball player? And which ones are they? Because here's the thing, though. I said the same thing about The Sandlot. I couldn't believe on a previous show.
Yeah, we know he's seen Little Big League.
I feel like on a previous show that I've had, big time baseball guy had never seen The Sandlot. And I was like, what? And I'm like, oh, he's a little bit older. Okay. The Sandlot came out, what, in the 90s?
I think it was early 90s, I think. Late 80s, early 90s would be my guess.
At this point it's going to be changing just because of they're younger now. I mean, this is our generation playing baseball, so they probably, a lot of the young guys probably did not grow up with The Sandlot, but some of the older players played.
Sandlot came out in 93. That's
going to be older than most of the players in Major League Baseball.
Major League was put out before I was born.
All right, so give me the 5 movies then. 5, maybe there's more. How many movies does a professional baseball player have to watch?
The Sandlot is just a pure classic. Same thing with Major League. I would put Field of Dreams on that list. I would put Bull Durham on that list.
It's funny you brought this up because I actually took a class in college. It was a major. It was part of my major, and it was an industry course. So we had hands-on classes that were teaching us how to actually produce a sporting event on TV. And then we had the boring industry classes that were the history of broadcasting. And oh, yeah. Did you know that this was the first ever thing ever broadcast? Yeah, I don't really care. And industry classes were always the hardest one to get. But they came up with an industry class that was baseball in the movies. And so every Wednesday in our department, since we were like film, television, digital media, and sports broadcasting, we had like a theater as one of the classrooms. Every Wednesday, we would show up. It was Wednesday afternoon, like 3:00. It would be a 2.5-hour, 3-hour class, met once a week. You would literally talk about the movie you watched the week before, watch a new movie in baseball, and then talk about that movie in terms of like Americana and like all the connections in baseball. Like, how to be romantic about baseball. And so like there was a list, and it was funny. There were some of the movies on there that I thought were going to be in that class. Where like Angels in the Outfield did not make the cut. Rookie of the Year did not make the cut. But like The Natural was there.
Yeah.
61 was in that class. The Sandlot was in it. Field of Dreams was in it.
They're here.
Cobb was good. Well, I guess you have the heart out. That makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah, I do. I could preset that. They're here.
That's fun.
Sorry it took longer than expected. They're here. You're an hour early. What do you mean it took longer than expected?
By the way, this is now affecting my day. Okay, like this whole thing is now affecting my day.
I just got to hand him my key.
This is.
I wasn't going to leave my key in the car. Like, for me, I don't trust a football player that has not seen Remember the Titans.
Remember the Titans is on your list.
I don't trust a football player that has not seen Remember the Titans.
Okay, I got to think of like the baseball movies then. I can't put Dexter on now because reasons. We'll get Dexter still wait on hold. We'll get to you when we start the 1:00 hour, if we can get there. I'm now left behind. We'll see how this goes. Anyway, I think like Cobb. I thought Cobb was a good movie, but I don't think that's like one of the ones that you had to watch. We watched 42. I think it's a great movie too. But like in terms of like the baseball classics of like movies that like a Major League Baseball player should have to watch in order to be like in order to call himself a Major League Baseball player, I feel like Bull Durham's got to be on that list just because they've all experienced the minor leagues at some point. I think Field of Dreams is definitely part of that conversation. It's kind of hard if I want to limit it to 5. I mean, Sandlot, I guess Sandlot would be good. It's like kind of the childhood portion of it. The Natural's it's a great baseball movie. I like For the Love of the Game too. I really do. That's one that appears on MLB Network a lot. I remember we watched that one in class as well. I think that was a really good one. Mr. Baseball, that one was part of the class. As I talked to some of the guys on YouTube here. Mr. 3000 is a classic. That's a great baseball movie. But I don't think that's part of the list. I'd have to really like hunker down on this for like the 5 movies you would have to watch in order to be a baseball player. That's a good like AI question, I think. I'd be curious what you guys think out there. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. What 5 baseball movies do you think a Major League Baseball player should have to watch in order to say he's a Major League Baseball player? What movies that you would expect them to like be able to play or be able to watch? Be like, I've seen that. So you ask the question like, oh, was that just like this in the movie? And then the Major League Baseball player could be like, yeah, like appreciate it. I think Major League, I honestly think the original Major League has to be on the list too. So I'm going with Field of Dreams. I'm going with Major League. I'm going with Sandlot. I think those are for sure. I think The Natural's pretty close. Bull Durham's definitely on there. Is Moneyball part of that equation now as a newer movie? I don't necessarily know. I almost don't really want my baseball players watching Moneyball. Do they need to know what's going on behind the scenes like that? Do they know about I guess you could pull the whole like New York's paying you to play against them to like David Justice, but there's a lot on there. I just like there's a lot that you could potentially go with. Football is interesting too. I think there's a lot of great classic football movies. Remember the Titans is one of my favorite. I love Friday Night Lights. I don't like the series, but I do love Friday Night Lights, like the movie. I think it's great. I think it's just the Texas high school football and the Americana of that, and I think that one's awesome. Trev Dog in the YouTube chat, he said, "What's with the one where the kid hurts his arm, becomes the pitcher's Rookie of the Year," which is it's a classic '90s kids sports movie. But like, Yeah, I'd have to think about that. Could you name me like the 5 movies per sport that you would expect the players of that league or of that sport to watch? Yeah, somebody's like, why is Frank destroyed his car today and has been in and out dealing with the car situation. So he's handing keys to a tow truck driver as we speak. So we'll see if he gets back up here. How much out of breath he'll be. He said he was running down there, to say the least. But anyway, I'd like to know your answer. We're going to get from Dexter here in the next hour. We're going to talk Aztec football as well. They had their first day of camp. We'll get into our NFL training camp update. Also, got a lot to get to. We'll preview tonight's game. Casey Mize is on the hill today for the San Diego Padres. So, got a lot to get to still. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Summer Sports Station, 97.3, The Fan.
Chris Ella from Gwynn and Chris. Weekdays at 4 o'clock, we play a trivia game where you get a leg up by just calling in. Prizes, fun, and glory happens during Chris versus the Fans. 4 o'clock every day on 97.3 The Fan.
At Fraser Farms Market, San Diego's natural grocer since 1971. We're always swinging for fresh. Score big savings now through August 10th on items like seedless watermelon for just $3 each. Fresh boneless, skinless chicken thighs for $2.99 a pound. And Annie's homegrown products at 35+% off. Don't miss our annual hatched chili roasting. Go to FraserFarmsMarket.com to pre-order a case of roasted hatched chilies. Fraser Farms Market in La Mesa, Oceanside, and Vista.
Seriously, my dealership just fixed the transmission.
We all know how it can be to go to the wrong place for transmission repair. Made up of over 800 pieces, the transmission is the most complex part of your car. So bring it to the transmission experts at AMCO. AMCO, always the right fix. AA MCO. Special financing available. Restrictions, limitations, and exclusions may apply. See AMCO.com for complete details.
Hey guys, it's Woodsy. Let me tell you something. When you sign your insurance policy, for some brokers, that's the finish line. Handshake, commission, done. Then you may not hear from them again until it's time for renewal. Your business runs all year, and so do the gaps and the risk. That's why I'm introducing SuperSure. If your company has more than 25 employees, whether you're the owner, CFO, or HR manager, it can be too complex to just buy a policy online. SuperSure is the super agency built for you, licensed in every state for your business insurance and employee benefits, all with year-round support for you and your team. At supersure.com, you can access tools like Fine Print Facts, which translates your current policy into plain English so you see what's covered and what's not, plus a business value calculator so you can estimate what your business is worth so you know what actually needs protecting. Go to supersure.com, one super agency, one powerful platform, all your policies in one place. Go to supersure.com. That's supersure.com.
Paid for by Supersure Insurance Agency, LLC, a licensed insurance agency.
Now that baseball season is in full swing, get ready for Major League winning when you join the most generous Players Club in Southern California at Valley View Casino and Hotel. Join and receive over $200 in free instant offers to enjoy at San Diego's favorite casino. Signing up for the Players Club is always quick, easy, and free. So visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
Sid's Carpet Barn is San Diego's undisputed floor covering leader. At Sid's, you'll always find a huge selection of high-end flooring along with top-quality, budget-friendly options, too, at the lowest prices in town. Visit Sid's or SidsCarpet.com.
Sid's Carpet Barn. Come on down, yeah!
For over 70 years, Sid's Carpet Barn has been San Diego's undisputed flooring leader. At Sid's, you'll find a huge selection of premium high-end flooring, along with durable, top-quality, budget-friendly options, too, at the lowest prices in town. Visit Sid's or SidsCarpet.com.
Sid's Carpet Barn. Come on down, yeah!
This is the story of the one who keeps multiple buildings running smoothly day after day. Plumbing that flows, HVAC that hums, cleaning supplies that keep surfaces sparkling. That's why she counts on Grainger. With easy reordering online and 24/7 support, Grainger helps her keep the products she needs on hand. So shelves stay stocked and buildings stay ready. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Skechers elite athlete OG Anunoby has been making history on the basketball court.
Anunoby tips it in. Unbelievable. What a shot.
He's been balling out in Skechers high-performance basketball sneakers, and the world has noticed. But how does OG train off the court to keep in peak physical condition? Hands-free Skechers Slip-ins Aeroburst. They help prepare OG for the physical demands of playing at a championship level. Get your pair of Aeroburst for only $165 at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever high-performance running shoes are sold.
Padres Diamondbacks today.
Gonna go! Gavin Sheets gets it done!
Pre-game 5:40. First pitch 6:40. The Padres play here on 97.3 The Fan.
KWFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
This is Jeremiah Estrada for the San Diego Padres.
Estrada strikes out this side.
The Padres play here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And Odyssey Sports Station.
On the Braden Surprenant show on a Wednesday. Fun day today. A lot of moving parts, as you can see here on social media. But I do want to get back to our little bit of our conversation with the movies. I think it's an interesting topic, to say the least. And I do want to get to the phones, because I know somebody's going to have an opinion on this. But the question was posed as we went to break. And we're going to get into Aztec football here in a second. I'll talk about Aztec football. I think San Diego State football is going to be in a pretty good spot this year. But the question was posed during the break. It was about what movies need to be shown to, like, professional athletes of that sport. Like, what movies should they have to have seen in order to be a pro? Obviously, that would be a dumb prerequisite for, like, an actual pro. Like, if he's really good at baseball, right? Like, he's not going to not make the team because he's never seen The Sandlot, whatever. But I think it's an interesting topic. I do want to get to the phones on this. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973, and then we're going to get into Aztec football here in a second. Let's get out to Dexter in Spring Valley. Dexter, what's going on? You got a thought on this?
Yeah, actually I do. If you're a Padre, then you have to watch, as cheesy as it is, the 1975 TV movie, The Kid from Left Field, because it's about the Padres. So, I mean, you know, if you're a true Padre fan, they're wearing the brown and gold in that movie, and they do. I mean, you know, it's a Hollywood movie, so guess what happens? Yeah, the Padres win the World Series, but still, if you're a true Padre fan, you get to hear Jerry Coleman do all the calls. So, I mean, what better movie for a Padre fan? Now, if you're, you know, I wish Frank were here. But if right there, right now. But if you're a NASCAR fan, before Ricky Bobby, there was Stroker Ace, and that, you know, Burt Reynolds interacting with all of the at that time NASCAR drivers that were current at that time, and that was the first movie that actually had what they called the Aerobird, the Ford Thunderbird, that was, like, considered illegal because it's super aerodynamic and it was killing everybody. So. You know, there's that. And Mr. Baseball, Tom Selleck, that's good if you're into Japanese baseball. It's a little inaccurate, but still. And then hockey, you can go The Miracle or Slapshot. And then if you're a big fan of the Savannah Bananas, there's Bingo Long and his Traveling All-Stars, Barnstorming Baseball. And finally, NFL. It's a movie that you can see on streaming. I've seen it on YouTube a few times. It's a cable movie called Second String, and it's about the Buffalo Bills. And they win the Super Bowl finally in that movie. But it's a comedy, so obviously you get it. You're laughing, but it's how they win the Super Bowl that's pretty amazing. And actual Charger quarterback Doug Flutie makes a cameo in the movie because it was shot just before he signed his free agent deal with the Chargers, so he was still with Buffalo at the time. So those are just a handful, you know, and I could go on and on and on. But, you know, those are just some of the basic ones. But like I said, Kid from Left Field, Gary Coleman. If you're a Padre fan, you have to watch that movie. You can't be a Padre fan if you've never seen that movie. As cheesy as it is, if you're a Padre fan, you have to have seen that movie.
Well, Dexter, I appreciate the phone call, man. Thanks again. Yeah, Go Aztecs. I agree with Go Aztecs in the YouTube chat.
He draws the foul.
He gets a foul for all the D-list movies that he listed. But you know what? It's creative. Yeah, I mean, he's thinking outside the box on a lot of the movies that he threw out there. Football, I think, for me was, God, the problem with this is, like, then you start to, you blank, as a lot of people do when they call into the show when they play the game. They blank on whether or not, like you blank on some of the big movies that you've seen, right? So, like, for football, I'm thinking about all the good football movies. I like The Little Giants. I think The Little Giants is super cheesy, right? Super cheesy. But I like The Little Giants. I think it's a fun movie. I don't necessarily think anybody that is in the National Football League has seen The Little Giants or wants to watch it. I think Remember the Titans is a great one. I love Friday Night Lights. I think that's a great one too. In terms of the baseball, I already said, I think you have to watch Bull Durham. I think you have to watch Major League. I think you have to watch Field of Dreams, The Natural, and The Sandlot. I mean, those are the top 5 that I got. There's other baseball movies I like. I really liked Cobb. I thought that was good. I enjoyed, because I was, before anybody's just tuning in, we were talking about this because of the fact that they didn't know what, like, The Sandlot was or whatever. So, or I think it was PCA or something like that. Frank's back. You see that?
I need an alcoholic beverage.
You don't drink alcohol, though.
I know. I'm very well aware.
Well, you left your phone up here, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
So, what was the update on the guy? Like, as soon as you left, they were calling like 1,500 times, and I'm like, the guy forgot his phone up here.
Yeah, no.
In order to handle this.
He took a second to find him, but I found him, and car's getting put on a flatbed as we speak.
All right. Well, I'm glad you got that all sorted out.
An hour before it should be.
All right. Cool. With that, let's change seats. So I'll keep talking until you get over here, and then we'll flip it back over. But you missed the D-list celebrity D-list movie that Dexter put out. Dexter had a lot of D-list movies on there, Frank. So no one's like no.
Yeah, no, exactly. No one's surprised. Everyone knows that Dexter is our king of obscure commentary. Did he? Did we have to foul him today?
I gave him a foul. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
We talked. All right. So I gave my 5 movies for baseball. It was, I think you have to watch Major League, Bull Durham, The Natural, Sandlot, and Field of Dreams. I think are my 5.
Yeah, that would be. I think that would be.
I think there's other good movies too. Like Clay in the South Bay mentioned The Pride of the Yankees. I have seen that. That was good. I think 61 is good. I think 42 is good. I think Cobb has done very well. I think For the Love of the Game is done. I think baseball specifically, there's a lot of great movies that you can watch. The best football movies, I really like. I think Remember the Titans is up there. I really like Friday Night Lights. I thought We Are Marshall was really good when that one came out. There's some I haven't seen yet. Any Given Sunday is okay. Rudy is okay. In my opinion, Jerry Maguire is okay.
Rudy's fine until you realize that most of the story is bogus and like the guy wasn't really the greatest of people.
I never saw Brian's Song because everybody says how sad it is, so I haven't watched it.
Same reason why I can't watch Radio.
Radio was cool.
I can't watch Radio.
Oh, I did see 8 Man Out. That was good. Invincible. That one just popped up on. I have to search now the movies so I can remind myself. I really liked Mark Wahlberg in Invincible.
Gridiron Gang wasn't bad.
That's the Longest Yard's really funny, but I don't think you need to necessarily watch that.
No, that's not.
I've never heard of North Dallas 40. I mentioned The Little Giants. I think The Little Giants was.
Yeah, Little Giants is good.
Was good. I saw Undefeated in class. They showed us that movie. It was like a documentary about the Manassas Tigers, but I don't think they won any of the game. I think they won half their games. It was a very inspirational movie, but it wasn't for me. Talked about The Longest Yard. I've never seen All the Right Moves. I've never seen the 1936 production Pigskin Parade, which was the 15th best on this list that they put out. I mentioned We Are Marshall. It's good. I like The Express. I thought The Express was good. I don't think it's in the list of in our particular category here, but The Express was good. You remember The Express?
I did not.
The
see
Ernie
it,
Davis story. He was like the first black player to play like college football, or one of for Syracuse. It was a very inspirational movie. I thought that one was really good. I've never seen Varsity Blues. Blindside was solid. I've never seen Varsity Blues.
Varsity Blues is okay. It's not really the greatest of movies. It's about a coach running his kids into the ground effectively until they finally revolt on him, which is, is what it is. But
I never saw Draft Day, but I appreciate the concept. I feel like it's probably frustrating to watch, but I don't know. I'm not giving it the good credit. Kevin Costner's in it. Does Kevin Costner have to be in every sports movie?
As a sports guy, what do you?
The Replacements isn't too bad. It's a little cheesy, but it's not too bad. With Gene Hackman and Keanu Reeves. Gus, have you seen Gus, the Disney movie?
No.
They have it was like before Air Bud. They have like was it a donkey or like a horse that plays basketball for football for the California Adams? Yeah. Yeah, it's a mule. They recruited a Yugoslavian mule with an incredible leg. He was like their kicker. That sounds cheesy. I love The Little Giants though, with Rick Moranis and Ed O'Neill.
Yes,
that's a great movie. I think none of my kids that I coach have any idea what The Little Giants are. They'd probably think it's stupid now as teenagers, but like that's a great childhood football movie, The Little Giants. I love it. The Game Plan, no, that was lame. The Program I never saw either with James Caan. Never seen Wildcats. The Waterboy's funny. That's not really a football movie. That's just kind of a crazy stuff. But that's some of the top 30 football movies. I think we're on agreement about the baseball ones.
Yes, we are.
I like the. I think those 5 are good, and that's not. We watched The League of Their Own in that class. It was good. So. There's a lot of go, and I think a lot of people were putting movies out there. The Benchwarmers, Rod threw out there.
Yes,
again, it's a funny one.
Benchwarmers was good.
I guess it's funny. We took a quick break from the sports talk. All right, so if people freak out, it's so funny. Like when people want to program our show, it's like, all right, man,
this is fun. We're doing this for fun.
It's fun. Have fun with us. You can have fun, guys. It's okay. It's okay to have fun every once in a while. Guys love when other shows have fun, but apparently we have to stick to sports. They're sports movies. What's the problem?
And this all started because Pete Crow Armstrong, who has 2 home runs today, said that Babe Ruth was a myth.
Never exists. I guess. Well, you know what? You can watch The Pride of the Yankees. He's actually in that movie. He's in the movie.
Did you see the Brisk commercial that he did in '98?
Can't remember. I can't say I did.
Brisk iced tea.
I was 3. All right, Aztecs opened up camp. For the next couple of minutes, let's talk about Aztec football, then we're going to dive into our NFL report, and then we'll get to Padres baseball to finish up the 1 o'clock hour. Aztecs opens preseason camp Wednesday, significant higher expectations than just a year ago. They bounced back from a disastrous 3-9 season in 2024 to finish 9-4 in 2025. Aztecs enter year 3 under Sean Lewis as one of the favorites in the new look Pac-12. I think the optimism is real, but so are a lot of the questions. The offense returns most of its key pieces back. Quarterback Jaden Denigle's back. Star running back Lucky Sutton is back. The defense, however, needs to replace 8 starters from one of the nation's best units, meaning nearly half of the starting lineup remains unsettled entering camp. This next month's going to determine whether San Diego State is a good team again or are they a legitimate conference championship contender. I think the fact that they got picked second in the conference puts them in a conference championship contending position. And the offense should be way ahead of the defense because of the fact that they got a lot of key pieces back. And they got 3 starting receivers back. Lucky Sutton is back. Jaden Denigle in a second year in this offense, I think, is going to be a little bit better. I think the expectations get higher with Denigle. I think Denigle got himself into a lot of problems last year. Hopefully he fixes some of those, but the left side of the offensive line is back. They got several experienced skill players the continuity should allow San Diego State to install more of what Sean Lewis wants to do offensively instead of just the teaching of the basics. And so the fact that they're able to retain a lot of guys with this transfer portal era of college football and have some stability with their offense, I think the offense is going to finally start looking like what was told and what was sold to us when Sean Lewis got hired in Aztec Fast.
Yeah, and especially when you have a couple of guys that can come in and bring the new recruits up to speed and teach them what's going on with it. So I think that's definitely a huge step forward. And I think that this Aztec team, especially with a quarterback for back-to-back seasons like Denegal, I think it should be a pretty good step forward for San Diego State this year.
Defensively, they're completely rebuilding this year. The numbers jump off the page. They only have 3 starters returning, and one of them, Delshawn Staley, tore his ACL and is out for the season. Tana Latuli is coming off ACL surgery from last year. He says he's trying to get back to the first week of the season. We'll see how that plays out. Hopefully he is able to do that. But they still have massive holes. They have to replace Chris Johnson. Trey White, they lost in the transfer portal to Texas Tech. They lost Ryan Henderson. They lost Niles King, nearly all of last year's sack production. So the biggest concern for the defense going into the season that they need to address is the pass rush. And if San Diego State can't pressure quarterbacks, obviously the secondary becomes more vulnerable where you don't have Chris Johnson anymore. Now, they did get Jabril Rahman and Kai Wallen, and they become 2 of the biggest defensive players on the roster before even taking a snap as they got him in the transfer portal. But the secondary is almost entirely brand new. Chris Johnson became a first-round NFL draft pick. Delshawn Staley is injured. That means nearly every defensive back competing in camp is either a transfer, is inexperienced, or both. And there are more than a dozen players competing for playing time, which could be one of camp's biggest battles going into the season. And we know this from a lot of different perspectives. You've got to have a good defense if you want to be a conference champion, and the Aztecs got a lot to improve upon there just because they have a lack of experience. But that doesn't mean they don't have guys that could go in there, fill the role, and they could still put a good defense together.
And you also lost Trey White to the transfer,
right? Yeah,
for the transfer portal. So, I mean, there's going to be a little bit more of a learning curve for the defense, but the defense more or less was fine last year. So I would be more focused on the offense this year, but yes, the defense will be going through some of those growing pains this year for sure.
Yeah, 8 new players have to start on the defense for the Aztecs. Offensive line still isn't settled. Left side of the line appears very solid, but questions remain at right guard and right tackle. If San Diego State wants to compete with Boise State, they have to improve in the front. I mean, that's where you win. You win in the trenches. So the good thing is left tackle, left guard situation should be very clear. They got to find their right guard and right tackle here in the next month or so. Wide receiver is actually probably the deepest room San Diego State has had in years, which is saying, I mean, they haven't had a lot of great receivers over the years, but it might be actually a strength this year, which is good to hear. It's very encouraging. Jordan Napier is back. Jacob Bostic's back. Donovan Brown is back. They added Oregon transfer Justice Lau. They have Burt Emanuel Jr. They added. Wilson Freeney is with the team this year, and both Napier and Bostic returning from ACL injuries a year ago. It could hamper them a little bit, but let's see how this receiving core, because the receiving core to me has been the biggest problem with this offense for a long time now, even before Sean Lewis. So the fact that they got a lot deeper at receiver, I think, is huge for this offense. And hopefully this is an offense that's scoring points at will and they're moving the ball up and down the field.
Depth, and especially guys who are retained as well. So guys that know the offensive system as far as Napier and Bostic are concerned. Cianfrini's speedster. He's going to be a guy who's going to fill up a role, I'm sure, either this year or the upcoming years if he decides to stay. So, yes, very, very good to see the receiving core get the depth, and also a lot of them stay, understand the offense, build up that relationship with Jaden Denegal if they need.
Some position battles to watch. Defensive line or on the defensive side of things, Jabril Rahman and Kai Wallen. These are 2 candidates that need to come in and try to replace some of Trey White's production, which is going to be hard to do. The right side of the offensive line is going to be big competition. The secondary has a lot of players battling for spots. New transfer kicker in Noah Cerna enters as a favorite. Could be decided after the August 15th scrimmage. And then you start looking at some of the players to watch that could play immediately as freshmen. Harlem Nellam, Jarvis Williams on the right side of the offensive line, Deshaun Davis, wide receiver, Dominic Colho as an edge rusher. Sean Lewis has already hinted that these aren't typical freshmen. So with some of the freshmen coming back, with some of the with some new freshmen ready to step up, with some of the players coming back, some new transfers in the portal, I'm excited to watch to see what San Diego State puts together. And you got a couple of players now playing under the most pressure. Jaden Denegal, obviously, after last season, he was efficient. He won games, but the expectations changed a little bit, and he needs to play just a little bit better than he did last year. Lucky Sutton's coming off 1,297 rushing yards and 10 touchdowns. He was named the preseason Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year runner-up. And so now he's one of the faces of not only this team, but this conference. And the Aztecs coming at number 2 in the preseason poll. So obviously with that comes a little bit more expectation for Sean Lewis. But we'll keep you updated as camp goes. They started camp today. We'll talk Aztec football throughout, this month of August as they get ready for Portland State. Coming back, when we come back, we'll let you know what's going on in the NFL. We've got a training camp here in San Diego right now with the Chargers, but also what else is going on in the National Football League. We'll get to our NFL training camp report when we return. NFL training camps officially underway across all 32 teams, and every team has major questions to answer before week 1. The biggest story, quarterback battles. Cleveland is deciding between Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders. Minnesota choosing between Kyler Murray and J.J. McCarthy. Atlanta has Michael Penix Jr. battling Tua Tagovailoa, and Las Vegas must decide whether or not they're going to start rookie Fernando Mendoza or go with the veteran in Kirk Cousins. Around the league, several stars are entering make-or-break seasons, including C.J. Stroud, Baker Mayfield, Keon Coleman, Puka Nacua, and Nick Bosa. Super Bowl contenders are also in the spotlight. Seattle beginning its title defense, while the Rams look loaded after adding Myles Garrett and Trent McDuffie. Add in 10 new head coaches, major roster battles and preseason games just around the corner. It'll be on Thursday, to be exact, the Hall of Fame game. And the road to the 2026 NFL season officially underway. Let's go around the league. Let's start talking about quarterbacks, where there are 5 legit quarterback battles entering August with the Falcons, Vikings, Browns, Raiders, and Cardinals.
Yeah, and Michael, we talked about a lot of these last week. Michael Penix Jr. Versus Tua Tagovailoa, very real. Are expected to battle once both return to full health. Penix is recovering from an ACL injury, while Tua dealing with back issues. For the Vikings, Kyler Murray versus J.J. McCarthy. They have been splitting first-team reps so far during training camp, with a decision to be made before joint practices begin later on this month. Cleveland is going to be Deshaun Watson versus Shedeur Sanders. They are alternating reps as well. Vegas, Kirk Cousins versus Fernando Mendoza. Why would you start Mendoza? I have no idea.
Because you're the Raiders.
Arizona has Jacoby Brissett versus Gardner Minshew versus Carson Beck. Why is Gardner Minshew being considered?
That's shots fired at Gardner Minshew.
I'm just saying, you just restructured Jacoby Brissett's deal. You drafted Carson Beck. I understand that Gardner Minshew's had a couple of flashes in the NFL, but let's be honest here. This is between Brissett and Beck, please.
I think so, too. And Beck's looked pretty good so far, but I just, with Arizona, I still think they're not going to be very good. I still can't believe you can go into a season thinking Jacoby Brissett's going to be your leader of the team in terms of this on-field production. I think Tua's going to outdo Michael Penix Jr. The Kyler Murray, J.J. McCarthy thing is very interesting. Even if you go with Kyler Murray, is he going to make it through the whole season? Has he been able to make it through the whole season? He makes a lot of mistakes too. And how about J.J. McCarthy already? I mean, I know he hurt himself for the first year that got watched. He didn't look very good last year, and I just don't know if he's got what it takes to be that everyday guy in Minnesota. I mean, this is make or break for them. Cleveland, Deshaun Watson, Shedeur Sanders. That's kind of a rock and a hard place for the Browns. I look at this, and even though we have legit quarterback battles, Frank, a lot of these options aren't very good, like across the board. It's not like you have two really good quarterbacks battling out for a spot. I mean, you got two very average at best quarterbacks for everyone. The only one that's not is the Raiders' dilemma, but you don't want to get your rookie guy killed.
No, absolutely not. That makes absolutely no sense.
There are several quarterbacks that are also entering make or break seasons. C.J. Stroud, Daniel Jones, Geno Smith, Jaden Daniels. How about Baker Mayfield being disrespected? He didn't get a contract extension. Come on, man. I mean, you've been on so many different teams. You're not at that level. And he's played some pretty good quarterback in the NFL. He's been he has lasted a lot longer in the NFL than I thought he was going to.
Same.
But every time you think he makes a step in the right direction, he takes another step backwards in terms of like being likable, if you will. There's a lot of players that have everything on the line in this training camp. We talked about Michael Penix Jr. already, Shedeur Sanders, obviously, but a couple of players that are not quarterbacks. Keon Coleman, he admitted himself this is a make or break year for him in Buffalo. Rome Odunze, after a struggling year last year with the Bears, where they have a lot of other weapons that they could go to. I mean, he's looking to bounce back after injuries and inconsistency, trying to improve his production. Rashee Rice, he needs both production and improved off-field decisions entering free agency. And then you got a couple other players that are near the elite level, like Puka Nacua. Can he match his elite ability with his, can he match his maturity with his elite ability? Nick Bosa is returning from an injury for the Niners. They have a lot of guys that are make or break with some injury news. And then Baker Mayfield, playing for what could become one of the NFL's biggest quarterback contracts, but a guy that I don't necessarily know if he's going to get said quarterback contract.
Yeah, there's a lot of position battles as well across the league. A lot of teams that have big issues that they're trying to figure out. For the Browns, Vikings, and Falcons, again, quarterback. Bills, left guard, protecting Josh Allen. That is one of their biggest things that they have to figure out in this training camp. The Chiefs have multiple starting cornerback spots that they need to fill. Cowboys, left tackle. Eagles are looking for a starting safety. Cardinals have a crowded running back room. Rams have don't have a backup quarterback behind Matthew $1 for an Akron football season ticket. You could potentially win a drawing to call the offensive plays on their opening drive of the season against Robert Morris.
So I got a text from one of my friends. He was like, hey, do you guys think we should all chip in $75 to try to see if we can win this contest to call the first opening drive?
Listen, all of these armchair coordinators, this is your time to put the money up, put your money where your mouth is, put up, shut up. This is it right here.
That would be a great bit for the show. You would have to fly to Akron though to do it. So, do you think Adam would expense that?
Is going to Akron worth it? We do have
flying to Ohio worth it.
We do have an update for the Padres. I don't know if you saw this yet. From 2 minutes ago, Robbie Ray is officially on the roster.
Who did they take off?
Germán Márquez.
That doesn't surprise me after last night.
No, after last night, no, it does not. So Robbie Ray is officially on the 26-man roster, and Germán Márquez has been DFA'd.
Which is interesting because of, like, the Canning situation. Like, they still thought that, like, Griffin Canning was going to help them a little bit more than Márquez. Márquez has been, like, up and down all year, though. I mean, like, it's not totally crazy, like, if you just look at that move in a vacuum. But what?
Not a great Annie just posted a GoFundMe for Alec Jacob.
Oh, no, that's terrible.
Their family lost their home in the Old Trails fire in Spokane.
That's terrible.
So go to, if you guys want to donate to help out Alec Jacob's family, Annie sent the GoFundMe link on her page.
So, yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah.
The Padres, all right, so they added Robbie Ray, who's going to wear number 38, to the 26-man roster and designated Germán Márquez for assignment. I get, Canning had been if Canning gave it up last night, having a 5-run lead in the 9th inning, I think he would have been in a really bad place at that point. I mean, even last night he couldn't have messed that up. But hopefully, they obviously think that they could get Canning turned around faster than Márquez. But I don't think, I'm not so sure that I think Canning just bought some time for the next round that they might have to do.
Bought himself a stay.
Right. And I think it's just because Márquez got absolutely tagged, which is coming off of him getting a 5-inning save not too long ago. Canning, his last 3 outings, he's only given up 1 run. So obviously it's some signs of improvement. So hopefully they have seen something out of Canning that they think is going to continue to improve. He went 1 inning last night, no runs, no hits. He went 2 innings against the Giants, gave up 1 earned run and a home run in 2 innings. Against the Rockies, he went 3 innings of no runs and 1 hit. But before that was just, well, it's been his season, so I don't really need to say anything more to that. But I think last night kind of did Márquez in. I think that was probably his last-ditch effort, if you will. Since we don't have too much time, we'll table the NFL camp update for the next segment, and we'll just talk Padres baseball right now. Casey Mize getting the start tonight. He's had some very good showings against Arizona in his career. It hasn't been too many times, obviously, but I'm looking forward to watching Casey Mize pitch tonight for the San Diego Padres.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun to see him pitching in the National League. For one, he's a good quality pitcher that has a chance for a win. So I think that's a very, very good outlook here so far for Casey Mize.
Are we worried about the Cubs are good. I think the Cubs can play. And I think the Padres now with what they have pitching wise are going to maybe stack up a little bit better against Chicago than the first time through. They made their additions. They went out there. They smelt blood in the water. They've looked really good against the Dodgers. Are the Cubs this good by sweeping LA at home, or are they getting the Dodgers at the right time right now? Because they're up 6-1 in the top of the 7th inning.
I think it's a bit of both. Because, like I said, they're not. If they're just beating the Dodgers, if every game's 3-2, 4-3, something like that, 4-2, then yeah, it is a little bit. It's more of them catching the Dodgers at the right time, but they are smacking the Dodgers around. It was no contest on Monday. Yesterday was 5-1. It's 6-1 and no real contest here, shy of the Ohtani home run to open up the game. This is just, they have, I think a couple people in chat were very intrigued by my boat raced comment earlier. They have boat raced the Dodgers out of Chicago.
Yeah. But that's going to be a difficult place to play. It's, when you always want to move up in the standings, but unless you can catch Chicago, and the Padres got to get into a playoff spot before we even start talking about this. We still got a lot of games left. If you snuck, let's say at the end of today, if the Padres win today, they are in the last wild card spot if the season ended, right? So if the season ended tonight after the Padres game and the Padres win, they're in the playoffs, because at that point they would then, because they're even with the Diamondbacks on the season right now, at that point they would have the season series on the Diamondbacks. Even though they would be tied, they'd have the final wild card spot, which means they would be going to Atlanta. I'd almost rather go to Atlanta than go to Chicago at this point.
100%.
Granted, okay, I'll say this. I want to be in the playoffs. That's first and foremost. But if you're starting to pick your path, which, the team shouldn't worry about nor care about, but as broadcasters and people that talk about sports for a living,
it's a fun conversation.
It's a fun conversation to have in terms of strategy. But if the Padres got the 6th seed, they would line up with Atlanta, and then the winner would play the 1 seed, which is Milwaukee. Atlanta-Milwaukee is a lot better than having to deal with Chicago and L.A. Kind of let the Phillies deal with Chicago and L.A. Is that wrong to say that? I feel like that's probably the better path for success if you're the Padres. And the Brewers are good, but they didn't do anything at the deadline, and I think the Padres, made themselves better. The Brewers don't scare me as much as they used to, and the reason why they're the number one team right now is because the Dodgers have lost 5 straight games. But, I'm just saying, slightly different. Now, the Dodgers rotation for this week has not been like their best guys. I mean, Eric Lauer pitched today. Let's not act like Eric Lauer is part of this equation, right? But if I had to pick my path, because at this point, I think you're gonna the 5 teams that are gonna be you're competing against in the playoffs, unless somebody behind you in the standings really takes over. Maybe Arizona outdoes Philly, and maybe the Padres are in the playoffs with Arizona and Philly's out. But when it comes to, we know the Brewers are going to be in the playoffs. We know the Dodgers are going to be in the playoffs. We know the Braves are going to be in the playoffs. We know the Cubs are going to be in the playoffs. If I had to pick a path going against 2 of those teams, I'm picking Atlanta and Milwaukee. And I'm not picking Chicago, and I'm not picking L.A. The only reason why I'd pick L.A. is if I get them first and I play them the least amount of games as possible. But that, to me, seems like a way easier path through than getting the 5 seed. The 6 seed seems to be a little bit more designed for success for some reason compared to the 5 seed. As crazy as that sounds. But Padres sit 6 games behind Chicago. They're going to have to win tonight if they want to stick. I mean, there's still a lot of game left. They're in the top of the 7th, although Kike Hernandez just made it go to the bottom of the 7th with a fly ball to center. But I think it's, the Cubs are playing good ball right now. I mean, the Padres, not only the other thing, Padres win tonight, they're in the playoffs, but the Padres win tonight, they're less than 10 games out of the division. I'm not saying they can win the division. I'm not saying it's close, but that just tells you how much the Dodgers have been in a little bit of a tailspin in the second half. I mean, they're about to lose their sixth game in a row. Maybe they're getting the dog days of August in there. When we come back, we'll get you a quick NFL camp update to finish up the show. Gwen and Chris will join us. We'll be on next after us, leading the Equator SoCal Padres pregame show and Padres baseball on 97.3 The Fan. Padres tonight. Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show at 5:40. First pitch at 6:40. Padres and Diamondbacks a win today. The Padres are back into a playoff position. Casey Mize is on the hill for your San Diego Padres. Making his Padres debut. Sam Levitt will have more on the Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show. We got a lot to talk about when it comes to this upcoming homestand. We have tickets to give away for which day is it? Monday? Is it Monday's game? Tuesday's game? Which game are we talking about?
Next
Monday's Padres Brewers game. Celebrate Portuguese culture and purchase a theme game package, which includes a limited edition Padres theme hat. Tickets at padres.com/tickets. Be the fifth caller, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Be the fifth caller, and you will win tickets to Monday's game. Monday, August 10th at 6:40 when the Padres host the Milwaukee Brewers. Not only are you going to be able to participate in that, they are also, I guess I should have opened this before, just like that same game that we are giving away tickets for, it says it's Monday, is Gear Up with the the Superhero Pocket Tee. So you have the front, looks nice. It's got the SD on the little pocket square on the front. On the back, it has Merrill Madness and El Nino when it comes to the comic book on the back. So that is for Monday's game, and that's the game that we have tickets for that we're giving away right now. So I think we have more later this week. Stay tuned for that as Frank deals with our ticket giveaway, but should be a fun week next week. I mean, now's the time. Like, here's the thing. Like, this weekend, I mean, this is a great weekend to go to the Padres game because I know school is starting up. Next week, you're starting to run out of time when it comes to, like, getting things in before school starts. Weekend series are always tough when you got high school football here in town and everything like that. So this weekend, Padres play the Astros, August 7th to the 9th. The Astros are in first place in the American League West. Friday night, Robbie Ray's pitching. I mean, Friday night's the night you want to be at Petco Park. Coming up later on this week, Robbie Ray takes the bump. Last time he pitched at Petco Park, he pitched tremendously. It was just against the Padres. But Friday against the Astros, this is an Astros team that has been on a tear. They bought at the deadline. They got themselves into first place in the American League West. Arrive early on Friday for Beer Fest in Gallagher Square with $5 craft beers before first pitch. On Saturday night, as thanks to Nickelback's rendition of Elton John's Saturday Night, bringing us back from break. Saturday night's always a fun time to go to Petco Park, soak up the sunset with a unique 4:15 start time this Saturday. And on Sunday, enjoy family-friendly fun in the late afternoon. Arrive early for Kids Fest with inflatables, balloons, games, and more before the game. Plus, following the game, kids can run the bases. Sunday's game is a night game. It's 5:20 on NBC. We are the game of the week on NBC. So this weekend is the perfect weekend. If you haven't gone to a game yet this year, this is the weekend you want to go before school starts, and it's harder to get out there to the ballpark. It's hard to get there during the week, school nights, everything like that. It's always difficult to get in some weekend series too, during the school year, and now's the time to do it. This is kind of like the last hurrah before kids go back to school, whether it be high school kids or elementary school kids. I know the South Bay, I think, is already back in session. But, by the time the next homestand rolls around with Minnesota and Pittsburgh, I mean, you're into high school is back in session, elementary school is back in session. It's going to be more difficult to get tickets. And then after that, you only have a couple more weekend series, and, one's against the Yankees. And, that's always got a lot of tickets. It's Labor Day weekend, and that's always a difficult one to get to. The Marlins are later on in September. There's only a handful of opportunities left to go watch the Padres play on the weekend. This is the perfect weekend to do it against the Astros.
100%.
And Robbie Ray's pitching on Friday.
You also get to see a lot of guys that you don't normally get to see. You can see Jeremy Pena in person. You get to see Jordan Alvarez, Jose Altuve probably for one of the last time. So that's a big weekend for sure. You can also boo Josh Hader too if you want, if you're so inclined.
We can also boo the Jets Let's get to the day's training camp. And let's start New York, Frank, your favorite place.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
And then there's the Jets.
And then there is the Jets. All right, so let's start at Florham Park. As Aaron Glenn keeps talking about building a tougher football team. The Jets took tight end Kenyon Sadiq 16th overall, expecting him to be a major part of this offense. But now he's dealing with another setback from offseason surgery and could miss part of the preseason. Meanwhile, Mason Taylor continues to get first-team reps. The defense has interceptions in back-to-back practices after not recording one all of last season. And Aaron Glenn says this offense will feature a lot more two tight end looks. Is the Jets' investment in tight end brilliant roster building? Or are they overthinking an offense that should just simply run through Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson?
I think they've invested too much at the tight end position for a team that needs a lot of work. They need a ton of work. It's just they're coming off of terrible years. Drafting a tight end early, I mean, he could be really good in the NFL. You want to be able to put the trenches out, not let the tight end trenches out. I mean, I think they've invested too much. I mean, I feel like they wasted a lot of significant draft capital at one position with all the draft picks that they had, and a tight end. So it's hard to build around just having tight end sets. I think it's great when you have good tight ends, but that's usually like the icing on the cake. That's like the cherry on top. That's not how you build an offense in the National Football League. You need offensive linemen. You need a good quarterback. Mix in an elite receiver. Running backs are not nearly as important as they used to be, but I'd still probably rather take that than tight ends. Tight ends to me is the icing on the cake.
As the Jets offensive coordinator right now, I'm going to ask you a question. Do tight ends play on the line? Yes or no?
They do.
Okay.
Sometimes.
You say you build from the trenches out. In World War I, when they were building trenches, did they start in the middle and then go out both east and west, or did they start at one end and just go down the line? I rest my case.
I think they started in the middle, actually.
No, they did not start in the middle. They started at one end. They started at one end and then just kept on going. I rest my case.
Yeah, that's a terrible
former Jets head coach, as a matter of fact, Todd Bowles had to stop practice after tempers boiled over on Tuesday night. But the players at the center of it were rookie linebacker Josiah Trotter for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The second-round pick has been making plays all camp, talking trash to veterans, and Bowles actually defended him afterwards, saying he's exactly the kind of competitor that they want. Meanwhile, injuries continue piling up at wide receiver, leaving Tampa incredibly thin at the position. Would you rather have a rookie who occasionally crosses the line or one who is invisible?
I like him crossing the line a little bit. I'm going to rephrase that. I like the fiery attitude for the rookie. I don't think they need to rein it in. I mean, football is an emotional game. It's a physical game. It is a mean game. It is mean and angry and all that sort of stuff. I mean, you want to build off of that. This is not like baseball. It's different. Like, you get angry and pissed off in baseball, it's not a good thing. If you do it in golf, it's not a good thing. In football, it's a good thing. I think you can go a little bit too far. Like last night on Hard Knocks, watching the Seahawks, they had a fight break out. Had a couple fights break out. I think fights at practice are good, as long as it doesn't get out of hand. One of them got a little bit out of hand. Some things were being said that were a little bit too much. Like one guy said, money changed you, bro." It's like, all right, guys, you guys are teammates. Like, that's kind of a little bit too far. So I like the competitiveness. I like the edge that they bring. You want guys like that on your team, especially from a defensive standpoint. You want fiery guys. So you let them fight a little bit, but you got to rein it in so nobody gets hurt. And at the end of the day, these guys are all fighting for the same cause on their team this year.
We'll go, since we've really only have time for about one more, we'll go with the LA Chargers.
There was San Diego this week.
Yes. There was a huge sigh of relief at Chargers camp on Wednesday. Rashawn Slater returned to practice one day after another injury scare involving the same left leg that cost him all of last season. Meanwhile, could you please, because it's a tongue twister for me. Tuipulotu?
Sure.
Tuipulotu?
I'm not my week to watch the Chargers. Tulipolo?
Sure. Participated in practice as contract talks continue, which is a sign that a deal is getting closer.
It's a Tuipulotu or something like that.
How much should one offensive lineman change expectations for an entire football team?
I think Rashawn Slater definitely changes expectations for this Chargers team. I mean, he's one of the better offensive linemen in the league. That's why they gave him the contract last year before he ended up getting hurt. You got to be able to protect Justin Herbert. Offensive linemen are key to doing that. He's a good offensive lineman. I think that I think him staying healthy changes the outlook of what the Chargers do in 2026. A lot of fans in attendance here, USD. I found this funny, though. Like, we didn't really talk about them at all being here. You know, you watch Hard Knocks and you see all these, when they go to these different towns that aren't theirs for training camp, and then, like, the local radio hosts are so excited. They're out there, you know, participating in the thing. Everything's great. I had people go, like, some friends were like, why aren't you guys at a Chargers camp? Why would we?
They're not.
This is like the only town that's like not super stoked that an NFL team is here. There's like a handful, minute amount of Charger fans that went out there in full force. That Derwin James said, like, "Oh, he's so passionate down here. Oh yeah, I wonder why. I wonder why."
It's almost like they used to play here or something, you know?
Yeah. But them filling out USD Stadium, which is not very big to begin with, is not like a telling sign that like it's a Chargers town still. I get a lot of flack from people like, why don't you ever talk about the Chargers? There's no reason to. Most people don't care what they do down here anymore. A lot of people still do, and they're hanging on, and, you know, they called it a certain convention on social media. Woods uses that word on there. I don't know how to use that word on there. Quinn and Chris coming up next. We're off for the day. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow, hopefully after a Padres win.